This is our initial Week 5 NFL picks video. So excited to talk about this, especially after the Monday night that we had. A great Monday night. We hit the Broncos alt line, both same game parlays. It was a great night. So hopefully this momentum can continue. So before we intro everything and get into the picks, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, wearing something for the merch store. It is a 100% USDA man t-shirt. It's a reference to Matt Millen. Of course, my 2-year-old daughter looks at it and goes, hot dog, hot dog. And I held her. She tried to take a bite out of my shirt. So they have to be careful about that. But you can get this shirt as well as everything else at the merch store. We have a 20% off sale right now. You can get anything here. You can change the colors of the shirt. You can get everything in long sleeve, hoodie, women's tank top, infant onesie even. We have our apron, we have our mugs, we have a hat. So we have a lot here. You can go to Amazon, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks to the College Years, where I made fun of people. I was at Penn State for 6 years, so I had a lot of writing material, as you can imagine. And as you can see from the book cover, my first book was a safety and a field goal, where I talked about top 5 topics concerning the NFL. A lot, most serious, but some fun stuff too. So you can check that out. Also, please consider super chats, super stickers. It's the best way to support the show. We had a couple super chats last night, several on Friday. So just want to thank you guys so much for helping to support the show. Just really appreciate it, because YouTube ads don't pay anything. It's pretty sad stuff. So anytime you guys super chat us, that helps us out a lot. All right, so we are joined tonight by Andy Iskoe from thelogicalapproach.com. Andy, how are you, and how was your week 4?
I'm fine, Walt. It was a good week 4, both in the colleges and the NFL. So I was very happy. We're getting to the point now where we can start using meaningful statistical data in both colleges and the NFL. And of course, that's the one problem with football, is it's such a small database where you play, 17 NFL games and maybe 12 to 14 college games, and you don't get the kind of data you'd like to have. And the problem is that the 2023 season is different than the 2024 season, which is different than the 2025 season, because there's so much turnover in personnel that it's difficult sometimes to rely on the data from even just as much as 2 years ago. So we're at the point now where you're getting to see data, especially, I was going to say especially in the NFL, but in colleges too, but especially NFL, where you now have played, 4 games. So you face different types of competition, different types of teams, running teams, passing teams, offensive teams, defensive teams. So a lot of the numbers that I like to rely on start to become a little bit more meaningful once we're, the good news is that we got 4 games into the season. The bad news is it's already 25% over.
That's true. It's a lot different than basketball or baseball, where you have so many games each night. You have so much data to sift through. It's much different. And I always find it funny when people reference, oh, team X is so and so against the spread since 2015. I'm like, well, 2015 is 10 years ago. Like no one on the roster was there in 2015. Maybe like 1 or 2 guys, but
it's crazy. The only consistency that you might have there, and you see it less and less with the "Gotta Win for Me Now," are coaches that have been there for experience, over 8-10 years, especially in college football more so, where you're dealing with the youngsters with a lot of turnover season after season, and at least they develop certain repeatable tendencies for the most part. So a coach who is 29-6. Well, even 29-16 as a road underdog and has coached 15 years, that's a little bit more reliable. It tells you that, okay, he's able to achieve expectations, exceed expectations, a fair amount of the time when he's not expected to do well, things like that. But, when you're talking about something that goes back, if you're talking about things that go back to like 1980, which is a long time, it can't really be team or coach specific, maybe more like all teams that are such and such. I mean, 1980 is a long time to go back, but even let's go back to 2002, which is I know you like to use 2010, I think it is. I like to use 2002, where the current NFL scheduling system and division structure is in place, as opposed to, you like to go because of the change in the amount of training time, et cetera, practice time you could have, et cetera, was, again, a meaningful line of demarcation. But at least I look for teams that, or situations where teams that have done such and such in their last game or two have followed it up with such and such a performance. And sometimes that has a little bit more meaning rather than, the Patriots have done such and such every time they've done that under, let's say, Bill Belichick, and then let's see what's happened over the last few years when they started to, which will be interesting because one of the things you take a look at, one of the games involving the Patriots and the Bills tonight is kind of interesting. That the series has become even more competitive since Belichick left.
Yeah, 2002, last time the Jets won their division. That was the Herm Edwards, Chad Pennington year, where they went to the second round of the playoffs,
where they play to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. They were 1-4, and they climbed out of that hole and they made the playoffs, and they were
kind of like the Rams.
10.
Weren't the Rams like that last year? When they start 1-4.
Yeah, I think so. They were so banged up. But they got healthier.
Kind of like this year's 49ers, a little bit different story because 49ers managed to win a couple of games, but boy, I'll tell you what, their theme song's the theme from MASH.
Well, maybe the Ravens are a better comparison because they're 1-3, and their whole roster is just injured right now. It's
well, the thing with the Ravens is to look at that schedule. They can overcome 1-3 if you take a look. They got one more tough game coming up after the Houston game, and then it gets pretty soft. I think 7 of their next 9 games after, I think next week, their next game, 7 of their next 9 games are against teams that didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I know that they have an easy fantasy playoff schedule. That's something I've been looking at for, unfortunately, targeting Lamar Jackson. So I won't have him for the next 2 weeks in some of my best ball drafts. But what can you do? So I hope he locked in the Rams minus 6.5. Appears to be up to 9 and rising. Well, let's dive into that one.
All right, I'll say I had no interest in playing that game before all the bad news came out about San Francisco. Now, I'm not so sure. They may have driven it up to a putt because the Rams aren't a team that's scoring 30 points a game. So you're laying almost 10 against another NFL team that has a decent defense. Maybe I start taking a look at the 49ers.
See, I worry about the 49ers defense because they don't have Nick Bosa anymore. If they had Bosa, I would like this a lot. But now they don't have Bosa. They can't really.
If they had Bosa, you wouldn't be getting the 9.5. You'd be getting maybe 6.5 or 7.
That's true, but given what we have now, I don't think the Niners have the defense to stop the Rams necessarily. And
Rams aren't an explosive team.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like their defense could force some turnovers and get them some easy scores, though.
Not if the 49ers play it smart and McCaffrey gets a good night of sleep Saturday night, tonight rather.
Yeah, they're going to need it.
Use him a lot to slow. They want to slow the game down, and instead of having 13 possessions per team, limit it to 10 or 11 if they can. Short passing game.
Yeah, I think the problem is that you have a backup quarterback against the defense that's ranked very highly. That is something I really try to avoid. Yeah, we saw that with Washington the past 2 weeks, where they had Mariota against the Raiders a couple weeks ago. Raiders have a very soft defense. Mariota was great. The next week they played Atlanta. Atlanta is ranked in the top 10 of defensive EPA, and they couldn't really score all that much in Atlanta. So it's just like a perfect example of how different things are. So we had Mac Jones, who had a nice victory against the Saints, and then against Arizona he won. He didn't cover, but because that stupid safety.
Was he there in that Seattle game also?
No, it was.
Was that Purdy?
That was Purdy. So the Mac Jones has played 2 games so far. The Saints win and the Cardinals win. The Cardinals have an okay defense. Saints have an awful defense. And you have the Rams here, who this is the best defense Mac Jones will have seen. So, and he's not going to have his 2 receivers. Like, he's not going to be able to depend on Pearsall or Juwan Jennings or even George Kittle. It's all going to be McCaffrey, Kendrick Bourne, maybe. I don't know. Like, this is a pretty rough scene for the Niners.
Once again, it's an opportunity for some players who don't get playing time to show that they're worthy of being on an NFL roster. Now, how many, you're not going to target somebody 12 times, but if you target him 4 times and he catches 3 of them and he's someone you never heard of, all of a sudden the 49ers can do things that the Rams weren't prepared for.
Yeah. And another thing here is that the Thursday games and the international games really benefit the superior team. Because, like, you have the Niners here who have to make a game plan for the backup quarterback and their backup receivers. Mm-hmm. It's just very difficult. And I know you say sometimes that, familiarity means that teams don't need as much prep time. But I feel like given the situation with the Niners, it's going to be tough for them. Like, I could see this game getting out of control. Or, maybe the Niners bring their A game and the Rams just take them lightly because they're not going against anyone, and they could maybe lay an egg, especially coming off the win against the Colts. So I'm not going to play this game. Are you going to be on this one at all?
I would look at it before I would look to either team. I might take a look if this line. Where'd you say 9.5?
It's
If it
eight and a
gets up
half
to
across the
8.5,
board.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If I start seeing tens out there, and you might see that close to game time, although that's a huge adjustment for for the absence of those players. But then I get a little interest. But where are you seeing the total at right now?
Total for this game is 45 and a half or 45, depending where
Yeah,
you look.
which is a reasonable number to look under because you have to believe the 49ers. I mean, they're decently coached. I'm not thrilled with with Shanahan, but they have to be smart to realize that the fewer possessions you have, if you can extend drives, make 5-minute drives into 8-minute drives by going for short passes and not taking too many chances downfield, you've got a better chance. It favors the under if you're successful. Then you can avoid turnovers. As I say, if you can take 1.5 possessions away a half, then you have a better chance. Because now, of course, we saw the opposite last week with the Rams, where they almost gave up that long touchdown, but for the guy dropping the ball before he reached the goal line. And then when the Rams scored on that 88-yard touchdown pass at the end of the game. So we have seen long, big plays, for and against the Rams. But I would imagine the 49ers have to have a conservative game plan. If anything, they'd love to run 55 plays rather than 70 plays. That's 15 fewer plays for them to lose more people to injury.
Yeah. Yeah. This game just feels like the Niners are going to lose like 3 more players due to like the 3 days of rest, which is I maintain that is absolutely ridiculous. I think it's the most absurd thing.
Oh, it's for players' safety, but I'm not quite sure what the NFL's definition of safety is.
Oh yeah, they care so much about player safety. Yes,
Yeah.
It's kind of like they have October is Women's Month in the NFL, but Judkins has not been suspended for his domestic violence. So it's such hypocrisy on all fronts. Mr. Magic asking, do you think an 0-4 team would trade me Jonathan Taylor for Hurts and Chase Brown? Well, if there's a veto in your league, that might get vetoed, but maybe he will. You're talking about like the number 2 overall player in fantasy right now for a 4th round pick and a 5th round pick. So I don't know, man. We'll see. Biggest concern with San Francisco is they may be mailing this one in, taking the midi bye and circling the rematch on November 9th. I don't think
they mail teams in. Maybe if it's 28-3 starting the 4th quarter, that's a little bit different. But they're going out there. The mentality is we have a chance to win every game.
Yeah.
Even if the fans realize it, even if the media realizes, that's not the mentality of most teams at any level. And, the talk about, we want to tank so we can get a number 1 draft choice. Yeah, well, you don't know what that number 1 draft choice is, Mr. Player, and he may take your job.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Falcons mail it in week 3, but they were a favorite after.
But they were well behind in that game after a while.
Yeah, it seemed like they didn't try the entire game. Like they were a favorite after a national TV win. Here, the Niners are coming off a loss, and they're an underdog. It's just a lot different, and they hate the Rams.
And a big underdog at that because of the injuries.
Yeah, and they hate the Rams, so they're going to bring it here. They're going to try. Maybe if they're down 20-0, they won't try, but they'll try to start this game.
Well, the one thing that the 49ers have is they can afford this loss. They can afford this last loss because they already have 2 division wins, one on the road at Seattle and the other one at home against Arizona. Mm-hmm. So this is a road game. So they do have a chance to get revenge if they happen to drop this one. But you tell the players. They'd still like to win this one and have the advantage of having 2 road wins in the division.
Yeah, and they have a very easy schedule the rest of the way too. Yeah. Their 2 toughest games remaining are at Tampa and at Houston. So they
and we're not so sure about Houston anymore.
Yeah, really, they're not doing
well, and the home game and the home rematch against the
I meant outside of that game.
And I'll tell you what, I would not exactly say that the game at Cleveland is a cinch either.
Well, let's talk about Cleveland then. The
Oh yeah,
Vikings.
next game on the schedule. The
Yes.
game in.
What a segue. Vikings versus the Browns. This is in London. The Vikings are favored by 3.5. The Vikings have some offensive line issues with their center. Ryan Kelly is concussed. Their right tackle Brian O'Neill is dealing with an injury as well. Andrew Van Ginkel on defense. Despite that, I still like Minnesota here. This is the best home field advantage in all of sports, I think. This body clock adjustment in Europe, where
Oh yeah, and then having been here for, well, not only that, they will have been there obviously for the extra week. They probably had some fun time early in the week with the family and everything. But the other thing is now with Cleveland making the quarterback change to Dylan Gabriel, the travel and the extra preparation is less time that they can work him into a comfortable game plan.
Yeah, a little silly.
Which, by the way, they'd still have limited time to do that work, even if the game were not in London. You start a quarterback in the middle of the season like the Giants did, although the Giants, had given him a little bit of playing time, Dart. But here you've got a guy who was in a 3 or 4 way competition to make the team. That preparation time, in addition to the body clock, and in addition to the disadvantage for San Francisco and also for Minnesota and I think is a huge advantage, like you said.
Yeah, it's enormous. I gave the Vikings 3 points for being at quote unquote home here, and that may not be enough. The 2 instances we saw, Jacksonville destroying Buffalo, they're way ahead, and the game got close at the end. But they were up big against Buffalo, and then last year I think they doubled up the Patriots, so it was like 32-16 or something. This is just a big edge, way too big of an edge for the Vikings, and also they're coming off a loss. They were embarrassed. I think maybe you could say on an international stage.
They rallied to make the game very competitive at the end.
Yeah, they rallied, but they were getting blown out at halftime. So maybe they're the laughing stock of Europe right now. So they may want to kind of avenge that. And also,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, the last point I want to make is that the quarterback change, not only do the Browns have to worry about lack of prep time and travel, they also have to worry about Brian Flores on the other side devising just complex
confusion
and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly, to confuse Dylan Gabriel. So I think a lot is going against the Browns here. I love the Vikings. What do you think?
I would be interested because I don't think I'm going to do it, but I am considering Minnesota as a survivor pick this week. There's so many edges. Not only that, and then there's another reason for it. Now, Minnesota is going to have their bye after these 2 weeks. Normally teams do. Teams get a chance. Do you want the bye? Well, what did the Cleveland Browns decide to do? Well, they could have a bye next week coming back home. No, they want their bye in week 10, okay? They'd rather say, okay, NFL, schedule us for a game the week following London, okay? Here you go, Cleveland. You're at Pittsburgh.
Well, Andy, they have to prepare for the playoffs. They need this week 10 bye. Right?
Yeah.
we know the Browns heading there, right? That's
somewhat interesting because they go over here and again they've got a division game coming up next week, and Cleveland's playing well enough that I'm not going to say they're not going to make the playoffs. I mean they almost beat Cincinnati. They did beat Green Bay, 2 teams that were Burrow was playing in that week 1 game in Cleveland, and then the game that they had against Green Bay where Burrow was out. But I'm sorry, where who was there was an injury in that Cleveland game, I think, that I remember. It was against the Packers, but which was still a nice win regardless. I forget who was out there, but it may not have been that significant. But nonetheless, Cleveland is a very dangerous team because of that defense. That keeps them in most games. Now, the one exception, Cleveland gave up the 41 points to Baltimore rather, but that was a 10-3 at halftime, I think, and 17-7 after 3 quarters. So it's a lot of points that I think they took because I think it was advantage of Cleveland turnovers in that second half. And who they played last week? They played Detroit, and they were just going up against one of the best teams in the league, certainly offensively. But so Cleveland has to think that if they had it to do all over again, if they knew they were going to have to come home and then go to Pittsburgh, not much less. I think the game's at Pittsburgh, if I recall, next week. Let me just quickly check here.
It's at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's -6 on the advanced line.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I think that's just another reason why I'm not going to say Cleveland's going in there conceding a loss. They're not. They're going up against a backup quarterback who was Wentz sacked last week? 6 times or something?
Yeah, it was 6 times, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going in there, but it's just a very bizarre situation. And maybe Cleveland is one of those teams that, again, maybe there's a team that if they fall behind at halftime, like Minnesota did last week, maybe they just concede.
Yeah, I could see that. And I think that's going to happen with the body clock adjustment. I just think that's such a colossal advantage, and it's not factored into the spread. I think if you do that, you make Minnesota like -6 or -6.5. So I take it you like Minnesota here at ATS because you said.
Yeah, in fact, my power ratings at a neutral field have Minnesota by 7.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely
without considering that the neutral field is over in Europe.
Yeah, we're close on that. I made this line 6, so yeah, we're right there in lockstep. So glad we agree on that one. Let's get to the Sunday 1:00 slate or 10:00 Pacific time. Dolphins at the Panthers. The Dolphins are 1.5 point road favorites. It's odd that Miami's a road favorite, but that's how bad the Panthers are.
I've seen pick'ems out there, and I saw Carolina open, I think 1.5 or something like that. So the money has come in on Miami, but I think Carolina opened that 1.5 point favorite Sunday night before the battle of those 2-0-3 teams on Monday.
Yeah, I think so too. And really, that Miami win against the Jets wasn't as impressive as the final score might say, or the final score before that last touchdown might say. There were 5 fumbles in that game, and Miami recovered all of them. Like the Jets fumbled 3 times, including once right at the goal line. Miami got all 3, and then Miami fumbled twice. They recovered both of their fumbles. So like that seemed like it was a very lucky win, and I think the Jets outgained the Dolphins in yards per play. If I'm not mistaken.
The only thing I'll answer there though. At least we've seen ever since that humiliation they took in week 1, the Dolphins have played hard.
Yeah.
In those games, the game against New England and the game against Buffalo, the Thursday night game, and then against the Jets. So Carolina, it's an interesting game because Carolina is looking at this as a winnable game. Miami is looking at this as a winnable game. And Carolina's coming off that Hill, I think, is out for the season, isn't he?
Yeah, and beyond that.
He may not be back in time for the start of the 2026 season.
Yeah,
although we don't know where he'll be playing because I think this is his contract is up after this year. But I don't know that I could lay points with Miami, but this is basically a pick'em game, and I just feel more comfortable with the overall talent on Miami.
Yeah, you know what? I think Miami's a better team, but slightly better. The problem is that they're this short rest for them, coming off a win. Panthers were just embarrassed, so I think just the spot favors Carolina. So it's like spot versus slight edge in talent. I think I would take Carolina if I had to in an office pool. But to quote you, we don't have to bet every game.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah, this is one of those. I actually, when I did my numbers and playing at Carolina, I made this game a pick'em, which is where it was for a good part of Tuesday. Yeah,
I made this. Panthers -1. So there's no real edge here. I don't like either side.
Yeah, I'm now seeing 1 pretty much across the board.
Yeah, like if this were +3, it might. Yeah, I could talk myself into maybe a small bet in Carolina, but I don't know. I don't want to touch this game. There are 2 toilet bowl games this week, and don't really want to go with either. We had a question: Warren or Kamara?
By the way, which is the other one you're considering?
The other toilet bowl game is Saints Giants.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jackson Dart makes things interesting, I guess, for the Giants.
Yeah, Rattlers played better.
Yeah, I guess. 2 weeks ago, he didn't against Seattle. I don't know.
No, well, nobody on the team played well. Seattle is looking more and more like an underrated team.
Yeah, their defense is great. It's definitely. I don't trust Darnold. We'll get to that game, but I don't trust Darnold. But the rest of the team does look very good. Kamara could get traded. Yes. People are saying Chiefs are into Kamara. Yeah, I think Kamara could be traded to someone. The Chiefs make a lot of sense. They really need a running game.
The deadline is what? Halloween, the 31st?
Halloween, yeah.
So we still got actually 5 games to be played. Or is it? No, 4 games because the 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th are those Sundays. So
yeah.
So you'll have twice as many games, and we'll see. Are any of these teams 2-6 or any of these teams 4-4, and depending upon their division. But I would think Kamara could be traded. It depends on how far away the Saints think they are from being competitive.
Yeah, well, if they keep losing, yeah, I think Kamara is as good as gone. There's no reason for him to be on the team anymore. He's 30. He's not
Yeah,
part of this long term build. So might
that's
as well
amazing.
get
Yeah.
they might as well get something for him. And Kendrick Miller looked good last week, so maybe they just stick with him. But yeah, Warren or Kamara full rest of the season. I think Kamara just because of the trade possibility. All right. So next game's Cowboys at Jets. You could maybe call this a toilet bowl game as well.
Half a toilet bowl game.
The toilet bowl.
And I don't
edition.
mean one of the teams, just half of each team is
Yeah,
decent.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Cowboys defense is awful. Jets defense is awful too. So could be a lot of points in this game. I actually like the Jets a lot. Jet players a lot in DFS. With Justin Fields, Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson, they're all cheap. Anyway, but for this game, just feels like Dallas is just coming off this emotional high with this 40-40 tie. I looked up how teams have done coming off ties, and it's not a big sample size, but this is dating back all the way to 1989. They're like 14-19 against the spread, which kind of makes sense that like they wouldn't be above 500 because it's such an emotional letdown. But I don't want to like
I don't know. 14-19 is maybe is two such games every 3 years.
Exactly right. Yeah. You can't really like determine anything off of that, but just based on how that game ended, the energy Dallas put into that game, it's gonna be so tough for them to match that again. And
they had the Micah Parsons connection there, which I think added a little intensity to both sides.
It did, and now they have the Jets who were 0-4. Granted, they're coming off a short week, but I don't know.
They're also coming off back-to-back games against division rivals.
Yeah, that's true, and I don't know how much
Bills.
I don't know how much prep time they need for Dallas. Like Dallas' defense is awful. They should be able to do whatever they want, and as long as they don't fumble again, I think they can potentially win this game. So I like the Jets a little bit. I wish we're getting +3, but maybe
I'm sorry. It's not back-to-back division games. It was a sandwich around Tampa Bay.
Right.
It was Buffalo, Tampa Bay, and Miami.
Yeah, exactly. So, look how poorly Dallas played after the last overtime game. The Bears game that they got blown out in. So,
that was probably a game of overconfidence on the part of the Cowboys.
It could have been. This Cowboys team is still without CeeDee Lamb. They're still without two interior linemen. Yeah. I feel like Quinn and Williams could really dominate the trenches here against Dallas's front. Whereas like the Packers don't really have anyone like that anymore because they don't have Kenny Clark. So I like the Jets here. I wish we're getting +3, but maybe it's saying something that we're not getting 3. So what do you think about this game?
Not much. Perhaps the over, if I could trust both of these teams. Jets defense clearly has not played up to anywhere near expectations through the first quarter of the season. And Dallas's offense has had, they've had several good games, against decent defenses like Green Bay. I'd have to say that Philadelphia, again, you don't know what would happen if they didn't have that lightning stoppage, but Dallas was having success moving the ball. Of course, Carter was out for Philadelphia, but they still had success going against, still a reconstructed defense in many areas. So I could see both teams putting up points. I think, and even without CeeDee Lamb, I think the Cowboys, Williams has been a nice little addition for the running game there. And they still have some playmakers there. I'm still trying to figure out what's wrong with the Jets. They just don't seem to have anywhere near the kind of defense that they had last year, which is surprising considering Aaron Glenn's background, both as a player, of course, and as DC did at Detroit. So I don't know that I will play the game. I might look at the Jets in a teaser possibility. I can't play 2-team teasers very much anymore with the VIG that they have, but 3-team teasers are still, moderately playable. I have a lot of my situational analysis that goes back a few years does favor Dallas in the game. My numbers actually have these teams rated even, so it make the Jets a very slight favorite. So I might look at the over before I would look at either side.
I'll say what's wrong with the Jets is that it's twofold. One is that they're not getting pressure on the quarterback. They have 56 pressures, whereas like I think the average is like 70 or 75 through 4 games, and only Quinn Williams. Quinn Williams is the only player who has double-digit pressures for the Jets this year. Jermaine Johnson being out definitely hurts that. And the second thing is that Sauce Gardner is just not playing well.
So I wonder if there's an injury there that has not yet been diagnosed.
Could be. Yeah. He could be playing hurt for sure. Slu says Cowgirls lost their best player against the Bears, really screws up their game plan. Yeah, we see that all the time for sure. Like we saw that when the Chargers, they lost Joe Alt. The week 1, the Chiefs.
Yeah, we'll get to that one a little bit later. That's an interesting game.
Yeah, I think so too.
Chargers.
What do you think about this? I wonder if Aaron Glenn will call up his old buddy Ben Johnson, who's on a bye, for any unofficial tips, because they just saw the Cowboys so in week 3.
Yeah, he might call up and find out why the game plan was as successful as it was.
Yeah. I'm sure, well, if they're friends, I assume they're friends. So who knows? Maybe they're sworn enemies or something.
Well, I would imagine that as part of the interviewing process for Aaron Glenn, they may have contacted Ben Johnson, and because he went against his defense, in practices with when they were both with the Lions. So,
right.
There must be a connection there. Who knows? I don't know if who knows if Ben Johnson basically said, "Look, if you don't get the head coaching job, I want you here with me at the Bears."
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. Okay. Next game is Raiders at the Colts. This line is there's some 6.5s out there, but it's gone to 7 in some places, which I see as good news because I like the Colts, and I was kind of wondering like why is this stuck at 6.5? Like why is it not going to 7? I like the Colts a lot here.
I'm guessing the one question they may have is what we saw last week against the Bears with Ashton Genty. Is that repeatable?
I don't think so. The problem with the Raiders has been their offensive line, and they went against the Chicago team that can't stop the run at all. The Colts have a great run defense with DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart and at defensive tackle. Those guys can really handle the run. And the Raiders right now, who had severe issues on the offensive line, are not going to have Colton Miller for the next few weeks because he's on IR. So their already poor offensive line is going to be even worse, much worse, because Miller was really the only guy blocking well on that team. And so now they have a huge downgrade at left tackle. So you have a Raider team that can't block at all against a Colt team that is coming off a loss. By
the way, I don't know about you. I did not downgrade Indianapolis one iota for that loss to the Rams.
Well, no, I mean, if Adonai Mitchell doesn't drop the ball, they probably win the game, right?
Yeah.
Or if he doesn't commit that silly hold on the Taylor run, touchdown run, they probably win the game. Like, you
can point to a lot of ifs during the game that could have changed it, but that was an obvious one.
Yeah, or if
the defense didn't allow that 88-yard touchdown pass at the end of the game, maybe it goes into overtime.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Mitchell thing is the most obvious because that's not even a football play. The guy just dropped the ball, so that's 7 points that were just wiped away. So, look, the Colts are coming off a loss, and really kind of an embarrassing loss the way they did, and reminds me of last year in the Battle of the Horses when when Taylor dropped the ball. The next game, they won in a blowout. I think it was against the Giants. I want to say, not sure, but they destroyed their next opponent with Jonathan Taylor just going crazy. I really like the Colts. And the one other thing, I don't know if you caught the Raiders' travel schedule here, which is just an absolute disaster. I don't know. You said last week the Bozo the Clown was making the schedule for the NFL, and I think that Bozo was really had an impact on what the Raiders are doing because in week 1 they travel from Las Vegas to New England. 1 o'clock East Coast start time. Then they travel back to Las Vegas to play game week 2, and then in week 3 they travel back to the East Coast to play Washington 1 o'clock start time, and then week 4 they travel back to Las Vegas to play that game against the Bears.
It's like that way for the first 8 or 10 weeks.
Yeah, and now they're traveling
crossing
back
the country.
Yeah, not quite the East Coast, but still Eastern time zone to play the Colts in an early start time. Like, I guess the good news is that they're going to get a lot of air miles and they're going to get a free vacation or something. But like this is ridiculous. Like they have to be so jet lagged right now. And so that's an edge too. So I'm a big fan of the Colts right now. So I am.
It's another team I'm considering for Survivor this week.
Okay. So do you like the -6.5 or -7?
Yeah. I actually made the line 9. And I have some of the other numbers I use have a very solid differentiation between the Colts and the Raiders in like 4 of the factors that I rely heavily on, and the Colts have the edge in all 4, which doesn't happen very often. I think they are one of 2 teams. The other team, we'll get to them a little bit later, that have the advantage in all 4 factors that I use.
What are the four factors, if you don't
Well,
mind
sort
sharing?
of just without totally giving it all away. I look at the rushing game. I look at the defense. I look at turnovers, and I look at that. Well, you'll see it in the newsletter this week. That factor X, which is a measure of efficiency that looks at yards gained and points scored, yards allowed and points allowed, things like that. And if I have a certain differential between the teams and all four of them, not just a minor differential, but a decent differential in the in the metrics that I set up, the analytics that I set up, they come up as solid plays. Now, they're usually going to be decent-sized favorites, and by decent-sized favorites, I could say anywhere from 4 to 10. But occasionally, I get an underdog that shows up. One of the teams that actually shows up a lot higher than I would have expected them to this week is actually, Washington, going up against the Chargers. They're going to get Daniel back this week. So, I think McLaren is out indefinitely as far as that goes. But we'll get to that game. But yeah, no, I like Indianapolis here. I am considering them as a survivor play. One of about 3 or 4 that I mentioned. I mentioned the Vikings before, and there's another 1 or 2 coming up a little bit later. As far as this game goes, I mentioned I got my line is 9. It'd be I don't know that I could play it at, well, no, at 6.5 I could play the Colts as a teaser drop down. Last week you obviously had a couple of the favorites in that range, the Chargers and the who was it also last week? The Packers. Well, I had the Packers actually plus a half on the teaser, but that was already gone by the time that the Chargers had lost. But Indianapolis, as I said, there's no such thing as a good loss, but there are things as bad losses, and this was not a bad loss by the Colts.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, you don't downgrade them at all. Cassandra says STFU with the Battle of the Horses stuff. So, Cassandra, don't make me put on this hat, okay? I'm very close to putting on the hat. You can't give away touchdowns like that. I mean, yeah, the players do for some reason. For some reason, they just drop the ball for no reason. Like there's no
because they're not concentrating on looking ahead to when do I start the celebration?
Right, they're thinking about their end zone dance. You're 100% right. Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Do you guys take my advice and take the Rams and the Eagles last week? I did side with the Eagles. I didn't bet them.
I sided with both of them. Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go. Nice. All right. Next game is speaking of the Broncos.
In fact, I think I wrote both of them up in the newsletter last week.
Okay.
As featured selections.
Yeah.
Even at the 3.5.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Broncos at Eagles. This line is Eagles minus 3.5. It's down from 4.5, so it looks like money coming in on Denver. I think this is a bad spot for the Eagles. They're coming off their 4th win in a row, a tough game in Tampa at the end, in 110-degree heat. And now they get a Denver team where the Eagles are they're coming up on a Thursday game against a divisional rival, and this is a non-conference opponent. So it just feels like it's kind of like a game they can give away and just not really be penalized for it. And Denver, I feel like, just really out to prove themselves after a slow start. They're 2-2. They can go to 3-2. Really make a statement here with a win in Philadelphia. So, and plus the Eagles may not have Lane Johnson. He got hurt at the end of the Tampa game, and we've seen the Eagles just really disappoint without Lane Johnson. Just their offense really just shuts down. And you already had this AJ Brown stuff where he's disgruntled, and now he's going to see Patrick Surtain. So, I like the Broncos here. What do you think about this game?
Well, my numbers do have Philadelphia more than a 4.5 point favorite in this game. In fact, they in one set of numbers they rank number 1 in the NFL as far as efficiency and overall performance. The stats are not overly great for them. I mean, obviously their running game is not the same as it was last year. They haven't relied as much on the passing game. The defense is rounding into shape. Denver's defense has been a little bit better. If I looked at anything, and I have looked at it, I might look under in this game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I could see both. I could see both defenses as the better units on the field, the way the teams are currently playing.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Wouldn't really, especially if Lane Johnson's out, you wouldn't really expect the Eagles to do much offensively. So that is definitely something on the
injury report. It's just a question of when the Eagles are going to be able to develop the kind of game plan they need to free up Barkley a little bit more, and that means they're going to have to rely a little bit more on the passing game.
Yeah,
which exactly. I thought they would do last week against Tampa, but they were in the lead, from the start of that game, so they didn't really have to. They really didn't have to show anything for this week. And of course, their opponent next Thursday is the New York Giants. I don't know if we can put the word woeful ahead of them. We'll find out this week against New Orleans.
Yeah, well, they're coming off a win, so let's get to that game. The Giants at the Saints. This is toilet bowl game number 2. The Saints are favored by 1.5, which actually surprised a lot of people. I actually got a few texts or emails from people saying, like, why are the Giants road favorites here? Because they just beat the Chargers, and they're playing an 0-4 team where.
You're saying you were surprised that the Giants were favored, or that the Saints were favored?
I was surprised the Saints were favored.
Because you just said the Giants were favored. That's what, but I thought initially you said the Saints. I'm guessing it was probably because it's such a sort of like a pickup type game that without Neighbors and having the rookie quarterback in there, and that Rattler has played a little bit better, notwithstanding what the last game. But maybe that's it. How can you make the Giants a road favorite?
Yeah, I mean, if they play the Saints, I guess the Saints have just
which is why making the Saints the favorite is maybe telling us something.
Maybe. I really don't.
Well, they're saying I guess they're saying that if you use a home field advantage, let's say right now because it's not 3 anymore, let's say it's 2 games, pick them on a neutral field, and the Giants favored by 2 at home. That might make sense.
Yeah, I guess so. I just thought that people would be excited to bet Jackson Dart here, just because he was good. Not the
people who bet the big money.
That's true.
They don't bet on the rookie had a decent game his first start. They're looking for other edges that would cause them to play a game, not just that he looked good and the team's going to have confidence, especially since they just lost their best wide receiver.
Yeah, I can't find an edge for the Saints though. I can't find a good argument to take.
They're at home. They're at home. They played well against Buffalo. They had that brief lead before that touchdown was overturned.
Yeah, but the Bills almost lost to the Dolphins too. Like the Bills' leaky defense, just without Milano and without Ed Oliver, just really not the same. So this is like 1 is an accident, 2 is a trend with the Bills here.
No, Bills are still 4-0.
Yeah, no, for sure, but they haven't been covering, and so
they covered last week.
No,
they didn't cover against Buffalo. They covered the game the other day, I think it was.
No, they didn't cover against the Saints. They were 14.
Oh no, not against the Saints. Yeah, they didn't cover that one. I think the only one they covered maybe was Buffalo and the Jets. I mean Baltimore and the Jets.
Baltimore and the Jets, yeah, and then ever since they lost Oliver and Milano, they haven't covered the spread. So.
But they won both games by double digits.
Yeah, that's true. But they should have won by more, just based on their.
Doesn't matter. Should have they? If they were going to cover, they should have won by more. But I think most teams would take. I'll take a 10-digit. I'll take a 10-point win in any game we play, whether we cover or not.
Yeah, I just think that there's more of a disparity between the Saints and the Bills than just 10 points. And the Bills didn't meet those.
Well, that was reflected in the line. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that a big difference was the injured players, where like you have your best interior disruptor and the heart and soul of the defense are both out. So the fact that Rattler played well in Buffalo didn't really surprise me. Now it's not like the Giants have a good defense.
Well, they still only put up 19 points.
Yeah,
against that Buffalo defense.
Yeah, Cooks did drop that touchdown, so they could have had.
Well, players drop touchdown passes or potential touchdown passes all the time.
Yeah, especially bad teams. The Giants have a great pass rush, but they don't really have anything else going for them on defense. Their run defense is really leaky. The Saints maybe can get some rushing going with Kamara or Kendra Miller. So maybe they can win that way. I just think that like the Giants, even with Neighbors out, like it seems like they're playing with more energy with Jackson Dart because like NFL players don't like Russell Wilson. Like I've heard interview after interview, he's just not a liked player in the locker room.
But have you heard interview with Giants players? Because that's really what comes into play here.
No, but they don't know him that well,
Doesn't matter. Well, if they don't know him that well, they can't just like him yet.
Yeah, but they can't like him either, right? So
they can like him because he's a quarterback and they're relying on him, or like they were relying on him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. From everything I heard, he rubs people the wrong way. He doesn't even give out his phone number to teammates. Like he's like, if you need to reach me, you have to go through my PR person. Like it just, I don't know, just like a really.
Well, again, I'd like to have that fact verified that it's the true, that is what happens with the New York Giants. Because look, some of the things that I've heard also is that Russell Wilson has been very helpful in the development of Jackson Dart. which is not what you would think if you weren't a very well liked player, because that was often the knock against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Maybe it's his PR person getting that out. I don't know. I really don't know that. So I don't need to hear from Giants players. They all hate him. Yeah, I don't know. So maybe
that's an assumption that might be true, but might not be true.
Yeah, we don't know. I would guess that it's true, but I
honestly don't think it's going to matter, because these guys are go out there and do their jobs, meet their contract incentives, and all those things. And of course, the Giants were just dealt a blow with Neighbors being out, and obviously they've got a spark from Dart's performance last week. So I could certainly. It's a game I probably won't play. I keep going back and forth on this one, which is probably a reason why I won't play it, because I can make cases for the Giants, because I do think they played with a bit more energy last week than we saw previously with Wilson, and they were rewarded with a win against a playoff team from last year that's considered one of the also eligible contenders in the AFC this week, the Chargers. Ignoring the injury at this point, but so it's not like they beat the Carolina Panthers last week.
Right. Yeah, it was a nice win for sure. Although we'll talk about the Chargers issues later. But I don't have any interest in this game either. I was just kind of trying to make an argument. For
I would probably look under the total here as well.
Yeah,
I really can't trust both offenses.
Yeah,
and neither's been really productive. I mean, the Saints have put up a lot of their points in come from behind efforts.
Yeah, and the Saints could just really, if the Saints win this game, I think it'll be with a running attack, and if that's the case, then they're going to eat up a lot of the clock, and that'll lend itself to the other two. So,
and I think they're not going to ask too much out of Jackson Dart, on the road in his first road game.
Yeah, that's true. And plus, Jackson Dart's going to run a lot too. He's going to run a lot too. So, don't mind him this week in fantasy if you really need to stream someone. If you have buys, if your quarterback's on bye and need to pick someone up, Jackson Dart might be worth a look, just because of his rushing ability. We had a question here.
Go ahead. I was going to say the next game is one of the more interesting games of the week.
Yeah, I think so too. Cam says I have Jaden Daniels and Drake May. I need a running back. Should trade one of them. If so, who? Yeah, I mean, look, if you have two of them and one of them's just on your bench not doing anything, yeah, you should trade them. Especially if you need a running back. I would try to maybe trade. I think you can get more for Daniels, so I would consider trading Daniels for like a Breece Hall or something like that.
It's hard. It's hard to say, only because May, and pun intended here, may be playing from behind a lot, meaning more passing numbers to come up throughout the course of the season, as opposed to Daniels, who, I don't know how much time they took him out last year when they were ahead, although Washington played a lot of very close games, that he might not put up the numbers, and who knows how long McLaurin's going to be out.
Yeah,
now he's a little bit of an injury risk.
Yeah, I did see McLaurin practice today. I don't know if how much she practiced, but he was on the field. I don't know what that means for week 5, but anyway, like maybe he comes back week 6 or something. But I would trade maybe like a Breece Hall or any 3rd or 4th round running back. That's kind of like where Daniels went. So
the only thing with Breece Hall, doesn't he get some of his rushing yardage taken away by Fields?
Yeah, but I think that could help him too, because when they run the read option, I think it's very difficult to defend. So, what I think really hurts about Hall is that he gets the receptions taken away. I think it helps his run, like yards per carry. But anyway, Saints return home after 2 road games. Dart on the road for the first time. Saints 20-17. Yeah, I mean, look,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it'll be a close game. I'd be shocked if it's a blowout either way, but it should be a close game. Saints being 0-4 gives credence to the saying "you are what your record says you are," which I think is one of the worst quotes ever by an NFL coach, which Bill Parcells.
Well, he wasn't talking to gamblers.
Right, exactly. It's like the opposite of gambling. It's like, you're like the Jaguars are 3-1.
He was basically saying, stop crying because you lost so many close games, and stop gloating that you think you're better than you are because you won on the last possession. Yeah,
exactly. Like if you talk gambling wise, like the Jaguars are 3-1, the Chiefs are 2-2. Like, hey, the Jaguars must be better, right? That's what their record says. So it's ridiculous.
They might be this year.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way: we'll talk about the game. Jacksonville's much improved this year, especially defensively.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, we'll get to that one. Cassandra says, Walt, I'd like to thank you sincerely for always going in rotation order because most people's sites don't, and it's irritating as F, I assume. Yeah, I completely agree. I've actually I got this. I can't take full credit. I got the suggestion from someone, an emailer, like a long time ago. It's like 15 years ago. It's like, hey, why don't you go by rotation? I'm like, oh, it's not a bad idea. Let me just do that.
What were they going? What were you going by before? How much you liked the game or something? Or
no, just random, like whatever ESPN schedule said, But I was like, yeah, that's a really good idea because we're focusing on gambling here. Actually, I think it was like even longer than 15 years ago. It might have been like 18 years ago.
Because I think all the gambling sites for years have used well, I guess now you'd call it the Don Best rotation.
Yeah, but if you look at like FanDuel or DraftKings, like their orders are completely different. Like I don't know why, it's the case, but like if you look at
perhaps to confuse people who are not accustomed to it, and they may make some bad bets or mistake some of the bets that they make.
Yeah. So, for example,
I mean, I don't know that that's the case, but I wouldn't be shocked if it were.
In FanDuel, the order is the first 1 o'clock game they have is Houston Baltimore, and then they have Giants Saints. So it's not.
Yeah, so it's not even in the order of the alphabetical order for the home team or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems so randomized that I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. So, yeah, I like going rotation order. Anyway, let's get to that interesting game that you were referencing, which is the first game in FanDuel.
I will start out by saying that a week ago yesterday, which would have been the 23rd of September, when the Westgate put up their advanced lines, after the results of Week 3 were in, but before the games of Week 4 were played, Baltimore was a 10-point home favorite. When they took the game down, and I've seen different lines, but I know that at the Westgate, when they put it back up Sunday, which of course was before the any Monday night games, which I don't think were impacted here, but it was after the, I think it was after, I'm not sure, it may have been after the Kansas City game was played. Yeah, it was, because Kansas City and Baltimore played the late afternoon game, and it was apparent that Lamar Jackson was injured with the hamstring, and it started to look immediately that he might need a little bit longer recovery time. When they reposted that game, it was opened instead of the 10 that was up there for the 4 or 5 days. It opened, I saw at the Westgate, 3.5, and as the news continued to get progressively worse about Lamar's chances of playing this week, that line crossed all the way over 0 and got as high as Houston 2.5. I think now it's pretty much settled down with Houston 1.5. So that's about as remarkable a line move as I've seen in recent memory, or maybe even long distance or long time memory. And the questions I have is that, because you have to believe that with that kind of information and that kind of line adjustment, that he's not going to play. Okay, I think he's currently listed as doubtful. Yes. That is that line move too much, or is it not enough? I tend to think it's too much.
Well, it's not just Jackson, though. It's the entire.
No, but
team.
I mean, anyone for that to be that big of a line move against a team that is not playing well. Remember, Houston. It was a battle of 0-3 teams last week, and Houston won 26-0. Yay! It was 6-0 entering the fourth quarter on the quote-unquote strength of 2 first-half field goals.
Yeah, look, I mean,
misleading final.
In the fourth quarter, they got Woody Marks going, and that he gave them some pop in the backfield, which they didn't have. So I think that makes their team better. But for the line move here, it's not just Lamar Jackson.
It's not the line. It's not the line move. It's the line adjustment.
Right.
And then the line move that followed it.
Right.
These bookmakers do not make that dramatic a line move only to see the move be extended as much as it was here. Yeah. So they thought that about a touchdown adjustment. Everything else being considered, because Houston's got some guys missing as well, but everything being considered, that's still a large line movement for a quarterback of the caliber and the talent of Lamar Jackson. It's kind of like the line move that you would see if Brett Favre at his prime was out for the Packers or someone of that ilk.
Yeah, but it's not just Lamar Jackson. Like it's half their defense is gone. Like they were already without Justin Matabuke, or now Matabuke, whatever his name is, and Kyle Van Noy. And then they lost Roquan Smith, their top linebacker. They lost Marlon Humphrey. They lost Nate Wiggins. They lost a couple other guys.
And now C.J. Stroud is suddenly going to take this Baltimore defense apart, because I would say he would struggle against the second stringers of most teams.
Well, their blocking has been poor for sure. Houston's blocking. I'll say this though: the Ravens have one of the worst pass rushers in the NFL. They already did, and that's without all these guys. They have 65 pressures through 4 games, which is pretty unimpressive, and that's with Madubuike playing I think one or 2 games.
And this Baltimore Raven team has had those 4 games at one of the highest scoring teams in the league, Buffalo. At home against one of the highest scoring teams in Detroit, at home against the number 1 ranked defensive team right now, Cleveland, and last week at Kansas City, which is still a very solid defensive team.
Yeah,
I want to see how many teams would have much better defensive numbers than Baltimore has playing that schedule.
Yeah, like they played some tough offenses, but now they don't have any defensive players. Against a Houston team that were they were 0-3 for sure against Tennessee, but they were close to not being 0-3. Like the Rams game, 14-9, like they were driving and they had a chance to win at the end. I think
you are what your record says you are. Teams that know how to win ugly games when they're not playing their best. Teams that don't know how to win, thank you, New York Jets, do so because they can't make the plays when they have the opportunity to make the plays that would create a winning situation, like against Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
but they go make that blocked that blocked kick, and then they can't prevent Mayfield from going down in like 6 seconds to get the game-winning field goal. Bad teams do that. Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, it was another one. I mean, they were so close to winning that game. Like a couple of things here and there. Suddenly they're not 1-3. They're 3-1. And they look a lot better despite these close wins. And I think at that point we're like, this team's a little overrated at 3-1. Yeah. But I don't think they're quite 1-3 either, because despite their offensive struggles, like their defense is really good. And just feels like the Ravens.
Oh, you talking about the Jets?
Oh no, the Texans. Not the Texans.
Oh, the Texans.
Yeah,
it's decent.
Well,
but it's not the kind of defense that can overcome the inept offense that they've displayed.
Sure, but. Look at their offenses they played against, like the Rams, like explosive offense. The
Rams are not a great offense. No, Rams aren't a great offense.
They are. They're up there. The Rams are. What are they EPA wise?
Forget EPA way. What's their yards per play?
I don't have. Well, actually, EPA they're only 13.
EPA is a contrived statistic.
Well,
you put this formula together, you add that, you divide by something else, and you put this in there, and then you consider who the team is. That's a contrived statistic. Yards are yards. Wins are wins.
Yeah, I don't have yards per play in front of me, but I know. Well, I can see what they did in individual games where they had 5.4 yards per play against the Eagles.
They beat out and I think that was actually better than what the Eagles gained in that game. So they did outgame them on that yards per play basis. So, Tennessee was a game that they won easily, 33-19.
Well, yards per play, I'm seeing pretty good for the Rams. They had 5.4 versus the Eagles.
Yeah.
6.6 versus the Colts. 5.2 versus the Texans. Tough defense, and then 7.4 versus the Titans. So that's up there.
I forget what the league average. The league average is generally around 5.1, 5.2.
Yeah, I think that has to be top 10. So they're a top 10 offense. Maybe they're not top 5, but they're definitely. I think top 10. So, look, I mean, my point is that the Texans have played some good offenses, and so this is not a good offense anymore for Baltimore. They had issues blocking already.
Well, we don't know about that. Cooper Rush has been a decent backup quarterback. He had great success in his several seasons at Dallas. Had a winning record. He also had a nice 26-10 touchdown to interception, which is very respectable.
He did not have success, though, against Houston last year. He played Houston on a Monday night, and he had a horrible game.
One game. Houston was a better team last year, especially defensively, than they are this year.
I'm not so sure about defensively. I don't know why they're worse.
Depends how you measure it, but just the overall way that they play. I mean, I take nothing out of the game against Tennessee. You take a look at Tennessee, okay? Tennessee. Their margin of defeat has increased every week since that 8-point loss at Denver.
Yeah.
Normally you would see teams improve.
Too. That was a misleading loss too, because Denver made so many mistakes in that game. How
many of them were caused by Tennessee, as opposed to fumbles that you lose when you're not being hit? So yeah, I mean, we can make a case by looking at isolated situations. We can make a case for any team in any game. With the game over the course of the 60 minutes, people always say, "Well, if not for this mistake, you don't know if the game would have unfolded the same way if that mistake were not made." So it's silly to talk about it. Retrospect is always if, not was. And we got to deal with the what was, because there are many factors that go into that, and I don't know that you can pinpoint a single cause to any of them.
Well, I look at that Denver-Tennessee game as, Denver won 20-12, but they outgained Tennessee 317-133.
Yeah.
They averaged 4.5 yards per play, which is not great, but Tennessee only averaged 2.4 yards per play.
What were the turnovers?
And Bo Nix turned the ball over 3 times, and then Denver turned the ball over a 4th time on the punt return, the muffed punt.
Okay, and Houston?
Houston what?
How many turnovers did they have?
In what game? Oh, the
game against Denver. Yeah. Or Tennessee, rather. I'm talking.
Houston against Tennessee?
No, Tennessee against Denver.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. The Tennessee-Denver game. How many turnovers did Tennessee have? You're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they turned the ball over.
So Denver was -4 in turnovers and still managed to win the game.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often.
Yeah, they dominated that
unless
game.
You're a really, really good team, or you're facing a really, really bad team, which right now it seems like was the case. But I'm saying that, in other words, there's a situation again of a team that didn't play its best game, still found a way to win.
Yeah.
Forget the cover in that, because the teams are just looking to win games, and they came within half a point. And we talked about it before, for several weeks about Sean Payton's difficulty in covering spreads in the first couple of 2-3 games of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which was the case again this year.
Right, and I think that was part of the turnovers. It didn't seem like Bo Nix was prepared for that game. Like, he stared down one of his receivers on interception. Yeah. He was horrible in that game. So, okay. So anyway, so Cassandra brought up Cassandra looked up the stats. Rams are 3rd in yards per play at 6.2. So yeah,
okay.
So I think Houston,
so then they're not converting those yards into points. How many points have the Rams scored this year? 33. 14 is 47.
So they've scored 53, 67, 100 on the dot.
So that's 25 points per game.
Yeah, it's pretty good, especially considering
I would think that's probably close to average. Maybe a little above average. Maybe, I don't know what they average. Last few years averages about 22, 23 points per team per game.
Okay. Well, yeah, it should be above average. I think what's really weighing that down is the 14-point result against Houston, which again, I think Houston's defense is pretty impressive.
It's one of 4 games. It counts. I mean, we could take a look at any team and say, well, if you take this game out, their average points goes up or down by X amount.
Right.
The Rams are just another. I mean, again, that's the problem with 4 games is we can't really develop a consistent profile for these teams. I mean, they scored what, 26 against Philly, and they scored 27. That's 53. 86, 100, so 25. That's probably not too far. Let's put it this way: it's not an outlier or anything like that. It's probably slightly above the average, I would say.
I think it's definitely above average. Well, I'm just looking right now. Rams are 13th, so slightly above average. So Detroit number 1.
I meant comparing the 25 points per game to what the average is. Where that falls in the rank. 13 is pretty close to that. So, the average is probably, as I said somewhere between 22 and 23. And so if you're ranked 13th and you're at 25, it means if you're ranked 14, 15, or 16, you're probably a little bit below that 25.
Yeah, you know what? I think that just kind of dawned on me. The issue with the Rams scoring in comparison to the yards, it seems like they stall on a lot of 4th and 1s and 4th and 2s. Like, they move the ball pretty well. They get to like the 25-yard line, 4th and 1, and they just don't convert.
And they ought to send a Christmas card or a Thanksgiving card to Philadelphia. Learn the tush push.
That was right. I don't understand why teams don't do it. Just get your backup quarterback to be.
I think teams do try to do it, and Philadelphia takes the envelope, puts it back in the mail with a sign "Return to sender."
Right, exactly. It's just copy it. It doesn't seem like that difficult. Anyway, all right. So
I do like Baltimore in this game. Not considering it for a survivor pick or anything, but I do like. I think overall, still talent-wise, and you have to also believe. and we'll have to see it with all the injuries and everything. Baltimore was embarrassed by Kansas City last week. They were embarrassed by their effort against Detroit. Now they are taking at least based upon what we've seen. Well, you could say the same about Baltimore, but based upon what we've seen this year, they are taking a significant step down in class.
Can I ask you? You said talent-wise, Baltimore. What, except for Derrick Henry, what talent do they have right now?
Oh, they've got. I don't deal with necessarily individual players as much. I just deal with the units, and as far as that goes, because the results reflect all that. I just say, the receiver for Houston, he hasn't been much this year, if anything.
Yeah,
they still don't have their number one running back.
I think if you take like Baltimore, if you take Kyle Hamilton and Derrick Henry off, just you have those two guys. I don't see what.
And you take Lamar Jackson away also.
Well, right. I'm just saying that what talent's remaining there that's healthy. You have Kyle Hamilton, Derrick Henry, and their center Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah.
If you like, everyone else is injured or not playing well.
We're not playing well. Yeah.
So what is this team even? That's I don't know. It's just almost a pick'em game. And
well, see, again, I think everything is skewed for Baltimore because of the schedule that they played. They did not play a single patsy in those first 4 games, because I'm saying Cleveland's not a patsy the way that they've played so far this year.
I agree with that.
And I think every other team has played at least one, and in some cases 2 or more.
Yeah, you have Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, but are they byproducts of Lamar Jackson though? Like we don't know.
Well, you're going to add, and then anyone who mentioned talent that has to do with offense could be a byproduct of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Zay Flowers could be a good player without Jackson, maybe. But
we don't know.
Right, we don't know about Zay Flowers, but I think Andrews is kind of shot. Right, he had one good game this year. I don't think he's done much. No. Maybe Isaiah Likely comes back. I don't know. They like Hopkins. They're relying on DeAndre Hopkins. Like he couldn't do anything for Kansas City last year. Like this team just looks so bad to me. Like if you take Jackson and those great defenders off,
we'll get a better idea this week, because Houston is a decent team that has not played well.
Yes,
and then next week we'll get an idea, because they're going to host the Rams, and then they have the open date to buy. And then, as I said, I think 7 of the next 9 games against non-playoff teams: Chicago, Miami, Minnesota was a playoff team, Cleveland, the Jets, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh was a playoff team, Cincinnati again, in New England.
It's a very easy schedule for the Ravens
I would expect their defensive numbers to show significant improvement. Right now they are, I think, the number 32 defense in the league.
They're all they can't get to the quarterback. They can't stop the pass. They can't stop. They're the worst against the run. They're awful against the run. And as like, if you just had Chubb here, I could be like, okay, maybe Houston can't take advantage of it. But Woody Marks is a very electric player. Charlie Campbell, our senior NFL draft analyst, he had Woody Marks as one of his sleepers heading into the 2025 NFL draft. He's looked great. So I think Woody Marks could give Houston the sort of pop it needs offensively.
We will find out, because Baltimore is playing its weakest opponent it will have seen so far this year by a pretty decent margin. Again, because Cleveland, and again, because of the problems with the offense, it's difficult to imagine what they're doing, but their defense, it's hard to argue against.
Yeah. This is an interesting game.
I just saw the comment about if Houston loses to Baltimore's second team, it'll say something about the Texans. By the same token, if Baltimore loses poorly to Houston, that will validate a lot more of those arguments, especially if it's a 31-13 win by Houston.
Yeah,
which could happen. I don't expect it to. It could.
It's the NFL. For sure, and I would assume that Rams-Ravens line for week 6 is going to move radically if that happens. Which right now,
where's it right now?
Rams are -5.5 in Baltimore.
I think that line will move one way or the other, regardless of the result.
Yeah, that's true. I will say though.
It's like all of a sudden now. Let's see what happens with what was the advanced line for Kansas City Jacksonville before the Kansas City Baltimore game?
It was Kansas City -3.
Okay, so that didn't really move much.
No, not at all. No. It did move in the Westgate. I noticed it was 3.5. So
yeah, no, I'm saying that let's see if a similar situation occurs in the results of this game. I mean, if Baltimore wins the game 24-20, well, then maybe there's no line movement in the game, because the line would have fallen right where. I'm sorry. Well, 24-20 would still be a minor upset since the Texans are now slight favorites. But
Yeah.
are you on either side in this game or?
I like Houston quite a bit. Yeah, I couple things here. I feel like the fact that well, first of all, Baltimore is just so injured everywhere. Like I think that despite Houston looking terrible especially with their offensive line, it feels like they should be able to move the ball with Woody Marks, Nico Collins. Like they still have good players. They're just not playing well, as you said. But and it's worth noting that their offensive line is just it can't do anything against teams that rush the passer really well. And look at whom they played. They played the Rams, who have a great pass rush.
Right.
They played the Buccaneers, who are very high in pressures. I think the Buccaneers have like top 5 in pressures so far this year. And then they played Jacksonville. Jacksonville's up there in pressures as well. They've gotten to the quarterback a lot this year.
I think I was going to save it for later, but I think Jacksonville, didn't they have like 9 turnovers all last year that they forced? And now they got 10 already, 4 games into the season.
Yeah. So they played 3 teams with great that get to the quarterback extremely well, and of course the outlier was Tennessee, which they beat Tennessee, not convincingly, but they did have a good fourth quarter with Woody Marks going. So that's one part of it, and the other part is that for Baltimore you have a backup quarterback on a team that's not good right now, given the injuries are not good, and playing against a great defense. I think a great like a defense with great talent. At least it feels like they should be able to force Cooper Rush into turnovers.
Where does Houston rank defensively?
Mysteriously 14th in EPA. Yeah, 14th in EPA. But I think that's misleading. I don't think that's going to last.
Oh, no, why is it misleading? Because you disagree with it?
Yeah, because they have too much talent to be 14th.
Well, maybe the talent isn't as great as you think.
I don't know. I mean, they have the same talent as they had last year, and last year they're a
year older.
Yeah,
the opposing teams now know a little bit more about their tendencies, their strengths and weaknesses. Talent is often, it's like when you're being drafted, talent is a subjective decision, maybe compared against whoever you play in college. Once you're at the NFL level, the talent you have is what you display on the field.
Yeah, it's only 4 games. I think it'll even it out. Yeah. Like Jacksonville's second in defense, Houston's 14th. Like that's not gonna hold up. So,
well, we don't know. We don't know because maybe you come in with some different coordinators now for Jacksonville. On the offense and all that, and maybe Trevor Lawrence lives up to 50% of what he was thought to be coming out of college, and Etienne's starting to play a little bit more of a role. So we don't know about it. And then sometimes the defense feeds off that when they say, hey, we don't have to have all the pressure on us to keep us in games. We've got an offense now that can give us some rest between 3 and outs.
Yeah. I think they'll be better than 14th. Maybe they won't be like top 5, but they'll be better.
Yeah. Well, same thing with Baltimore. Let's see what happens by, let's say, game 12 or 13 as the schedule of weekends. Maybe, and they'll get some people back. They'll lose some more during the course as well. I don't know how long Lamar will stay out. I don't think it'll be more than just a few weeks, but we'll see. But these things tend to even out. And at the end of the season, you will have played roughly, depending upon the division, because the division schedules are so close that you will play strength of schedules that are relatively within somewhat of a much narrower band than they are right now.
Yeah, that's
because some of the schedules are weighted. You're going to struggle early, and you're going to get redeemed late, or vice versa. Or you take a look at the way look at Baltimore, for example. The weirdness of their schedule: open on the road, 2 home games, a road game, 3 home games, 3 on the road, 3 at home. I mean, that's a bizarre scheduling spot, as opposed to, I think we looked at the Raiders and you talked about their the flying back and forth, home road, which is a little bit more. It's difficult, but at least it's a little more sensible as far as home and road game, splits are concerned. Yeah, I really do think it's a clown that makes these schedules. Because you would think, because you make the schedule and then TV decides, because the schedule, you're going to have a certain number of excellent matchups and toilet bowl matchups throughout the season, because who everyone's going to play once the regular season ends. Where. You just don't know when, what the sequencing is. So they could do a better job. I have always said I'd love to see the end of this. I'd like 3 division games. The 3 divisional rematch to be games 15, 16, and 17. Mm-hmm. And I would like to see the first matchups spread out a little bit more than they are at sometimes. I would not like to see back-to-back division games, in the first 2/3 of the season.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
And by the way, all of this is manageable. Yeah, I know they've got concerts booked for certain stadiums, but you're talking about 18 weeks where you can spread things out, and maybe it means. I'd also like to say again, if I were making a schedule, every division has all 4 teams on a bye at the same time.
Yeah, that's something I'd like to see too. Yeah, it makes.
And if you want to have, and then if you want to have, one of those teams, or then if you want to have a divisional matchup from one of those teams off a bye on the Thursday night game, because they will have had 12, 13 days off, or 10, 11 days off, whatever it is, depending on when they played the previous week, that would be okay as well.
Would you if they go to 18 games, do you think they should have 2 byes?
Yes, I'm almost certain they will.
Okay, yeah.
It was back when they played a 16-game schedule. They did have, I want to say it was 91 or 92. They did have in 18 weeks. Yeah, okay, 93. They did have 2 byes.
Yeah, 93. I actually remember I got into football for the first time that year. I was 11, and I had my dad's newspaper on the school bus, and I was trying to learn the schedule. I was looking at the Eagles schedule. I was sitting next to my friend Will, and I was like, "What team is BYE? They play them 2 times too. Is that divisional?" And he's like, "No, that's a bye."
It's a week off. Yeah.
Right. I remember that specifically. The two.
And by the way, if the play, I would imagine this would have to be part of the collective bargaining agreement when it comes up, and that is if they go to the 18-game schedule, and they're concerned about player safety, they damn well ought to have 2 byes.
Yeah, that's true. Just get rid of the preseason. Just maybe 1 preseason game at most, and then let's get into.
I don't even know that you need they do it for the money. You have all these teams scrimmaging against each other before they play each other. That should be good enough.
Yeah. For sure.
You don't go any slower or faster in the scrimmages than you do in the preseason games, and you certainly don't play as you play. You probably practice more in the scrimmages than most of the starters will see in any preseason game.
I'd love to see no preseason anymore. That'd be fantastic. I mean, the college football, they don't do it. Like the week 1, you see USC playing Miami. They don't need.
They don't have preseason game, but you do have a lot of non-conference soft games in the early part of the season. But still, you're right. There are more and more teams that do open the season with attractive matchups. Like Clemson, LSU, Miami, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Ohio State, Texas, and then they play a little soft schedule, which is usually a money game for the visiting team. But yeah, it's a way to work yourself in. But yeah, I mean, you would never think if you had no preseason game that you would start with a division game in the NFL.
Yeah, or if they wanted to go wild, maybe week 1 NFL, you have like the Eagles scheduling the Toronto Argonauts or something. That'd be hard.
No, but
that'd be hard.
No, I would like to see, because I would like to see divisional races come down to the final 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
And if you had all divisional rematches, and you switch it each year, because obviously let's say for the Giants, 2 of the games will be on the road, 1 will be at home. The following year, they reverse those final 3 games, with the Giants getting 2 home games and 1 road game. You do that across the league, making a lot of fairness. You want things to be fair, at least going into the season, because you don't know which teams are going to be as good as you thought or better than you thought they were going to be bad, et cetera, et cetera. So,
yeah.
And I think the TV ratings would increase because of the importance of the games late in the season, so that and because let's say you are 7-7 after 14 games, but you're 3-1 in your division, or you're 3-0 in your division. Well, now you got 3 division games at the end of the season, so your 7-7 could turn you into a 10-7 team. Not a great record to win a division, but I mean, it's still possible. The point is that division games over the final 3 weeks of the season would have much more meaning than they do now.
Yeah,
they finally went to, I think, the final 2 games. I'd like to, or certainly the final week, but I think it's the final 2 games for most teams, not all teams. I think that would just be better from a competitive standpoint.
Yeah, there aren't that many divisional games this week. I think there are only 2, and then next week there are only 2. So then maybe. Well,
again, a lot of that's due to the the byes coming in, and they're scheduling them a little bit differently. We talked about Minnesota and Pittsburgh, Minnesota and Cleveland, and their dramatically different bye situation.
Yeah, exactly. Drew asking, I wonder what the betting lines for Brashard Smith today. The Chiefs coaching staff confirmed he's going to get more touches. I just looked. FanDuel has nothing for him right now, so you'll have to wait till probably the weekend to see something like that. But all right. Last thing on this game, really Baltimore. I think that what you brought up, given that they're not likely to win next week, and then heading into the bye. I think they're going to be a good divisional bet after their bye because they're likely to get Lamar Jackson back in week 8.
Yeah.
So if they are 1-5 heading into their bye, I don't know what their odds are going to be, but I think they're worth a long shot to take the AFC North.
Well, if 7 of their last 9 are against non-division opponents, and if they are indeed 1-5, then you're looking at a potential 10-7, which could be good enough to win the division this year. Given Cincinnati's issues, Cleveland's issues, and maybe who knows what Cleveland's record would be at the end of 7 or 8 games. But that defense, if it stays healthy, keeps them in every game.
Yeah,
and who knows how Gabriel's going to do?
Yeah, Pittsburgh's the only team, and the Ravens do play them twice, so they can make up 2 games there. So
that's the automatic underdog bet.
Yeah,
that's that every year after year.
Yeah,
especially at +3.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to the next game, which is the first of the 4:00 games. We have Titans at the Cardinals. This line is Cardinals -7.5. It's fallen a bit because Trey Benson was announced. He was announced as he was placed in IR. Kind of a surprise, just out of nowhere. So condolences to anyone who picked him up in fantasy. I still love Arizona though. Arizona is the easiest handicap in the NFL. Like they can't beat good teams. They just can't. And then they sit on bad teams. This is what they do all the time. Now I know they didn't cover against the Panthers in week 2. They're up 27-3. They fell asleep at the wheel. And could the same thing happen again? Yeah. But the difference this week is
I think Carolina has a better offense than Tennessee does.
Yes, I agree. But the difference this week, well, aside from that, is that Arizona's coming off a loss. Not just a loss, but 2 losses in a row.
Back-to-back losses to division. Aren't they both the division rivals?
Yeah, San Francisco and
San Francisco, Seattle.
Yeah.
And they were competitive in both games.
Yeah, they were. And so they kind of have to get going here. They can't afford to fall into 2 and 3. And Tennessee's just dreadful right now. They can't do anything. They can't rush the pass. So they have the worst pass rush in the NFL except for Carolina. They can't stop the run without Devondre Sweat. They can't score. I don't see the argument for taking Tennessee. I just don't. So I love Arizona. What do you think about this game?
This will most likely be my survivor play this week. I was one who saved Arizona. A number of reasons. Can Tennessee pull the upset? Well, we do know teams, who are bigger favorites than that lose and knock a lot of people out of pools. I just don't see Tennessee doing it because they're really not showing much improvement. The only improvement I see is that Cam Ward, his number of times being sacked has decreased nicely from 6 to 5 to 4 to 2.
There we go.
That's still a lot. That's still a lot. Yeah, they missed 3, so maybe they get the 3 back this week. But the other thing and the reason to like Arizona, at least survivor this week, is I still think Tennessee will show improvement over the course of the season, though they don't give you much reason to think about it right now. But the point there being is that Arizona's playing Tennessee, and you'd have to say right now, can Tennessee get any worse than they are right now? Hard to see it. So they're actually playing Tennessee at perhaps Tennessee's lowest point of the season.
Yes.
Who do they play next, Tennessee?
Next week, Tennessee plays.
They're +3 against the bye.
No,
they're actually here in Vegas.
Yeah,
it's the end of an end of a 3-game road trip. And you know where Tennessee gets its first win?
Where's that?
It could be at home against New England against their former coach.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice. Well, maybe they could beat the Raiders who don't have Colton Miller anymore. That line.
What's that line right now?
Do you want to guess? I was shocked by it.
I'll say the Raiders maybe 6.
Oh, they're close, 6.5.
Okay.
I think that's way too high. Like, both neither team is good. Like, come on, the Raiders by 6.5. Come on, I will be on.
Well, that's how bad. But that's how bad. What are the margins? Tell us the margin of losses that Tennessee has had beginning with game 1.
Okay.
I don't have that in front of me, but
I do in my spreadsheet.
I know they lost by 8 to Denver.
They lost by 8 to Denver. They lost by 14 to the LA Rams. They lost by 21 to the Colts, and they lost by 26 to Houston.
You notice a pattern there?
Yes.
That's a graph chart going in one direction.
Yeah. But I will say this: 3 of those 4 teams were Group B teams, so their schedule so far has been pretty tough. To be fair to them, I'm not making a case that they're a good team, but they played 3.
Arizona's played 2 beatable teams, and they've won both, and 2 teams that they're not as good as, and they lost both, but they were competitive in both of those games. Well, I mean, in the Seattle game, they were down 20-6, but let's give them credit; they still came back to make a 20-20 tie.
That's what Arizona is. They crush the bad teams. They can't beat the good teams. That's not just this year.
Yeah.
It's years.
That goes back a number of years. Yeah,
it's a Kyler Murray's whole tenure in Arizona. Yeah. So, I think we know where we're going with this one. Do you like the spread? You said you like it.
Yeah, I do like Arizona here. Okay. My numbers actually have, as bad as Tennessee is, my numbers have Arizona 17.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love to hear that.
Because they didn't blow out. I mean, the final scores were not indicative of the games against New Orleans and Carolina. And the New Orleans game was on the road. I believe the Carolina game was at home. Mm-hmm. But the last 2 games, I forget what my numbers were against both San Francisco and Seattle. But I believe my numbers actually probably had Arizona slightly more of an underdog in both of those games.
Yeah.
So they exceeded a little bit. So the gap between Houston and Arizona is widening. I forget what this line would have been at the start of the season.
Okay. So you said 17, correct?
What I would have made it.
Okay.
1-7.
Is that
is the second largest line that I have this week.
Is that just because Tennessee's that bad, or do you think Arizona's underrated too, or both?
I think it's largely due to Tennessee being that bad. I mean, look, when you lose by those margins, by 8? What do you say? 8, 14 is 22, 44, 70 points. That's an average of 17.5 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
Your power rate is going to drop anytime you lose a game by 17.5.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those losses by Tennessee, who was the best team that they lost to? Maybe Denver in the competitive game at game 1 when there were a lot of runs, and then the Rams. But who were the other 2 losses to?
The Colts. And,
the Colts. The Colts might end up being the best of the 3 actually right now.
Yeah.
But they're up there. Yeah. So I mean, they lost to good but not great teams.
Right. No Group A teams, but 3 Group B teams.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. The coaching staff is slowly pointing out too. I heard something complicated for Tennessee. They can't. It's gonna be tough for them to fire Brian Callahan because his dad is the offensive line coach, and so if they fire Brian, they might also lose Bill. So they might lose the offensive line coach and the head coach if they fire the head coach.
Well, considering the offensive line coach, what's the offensive line done so far for Tennessee in allowing 15 sacks, or what I say, 17 sacks now in 5 games, 4 games.
Latham's been out, but it's not going to make a big.
They get to replace him.
Right. Yeah, this seems just dreadful.
And sometimes we think the replacement in some of these positions, it's not as big a drop off as a lot of people think.
Yeah, that's true.
They're just less experienced.
And I know you remember Bill Callahan from the Raiders.
Yeah,
who's just an awful coach.
Well, he's a good assistant, but
Yeah, he's a good line coach. Yeah. But
there are a lot of great assistants like North Turner and Wade Phillips who just don't have it to be head coaches for whatever reason.
Yeah, and they got so many chances, and they just kept failing.
Multiple chances, yeah.
Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels was the one I was just about to say, yeah.
Yeah, he's more recent, yeah. Okay, so we're glad we agree on that one. Next one, Buccaneers at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are -3.5. Both teams are gonna have to pass here, but both run defenses are elite.
Yeah.
Tampa does not allow 50-yard rushers. Forget 100. They don't allow 50-yard rushers. The last 50-yard rusher they allowed was in December of 2024.
You're talking on an individual player basis, not
yes,
total.
Right. And they've gone up against Christian McCaffrey in that span, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley. Like these, no one gets
several times Saquon Barkley. Well. Right. No, I'm sorry. Just last year because he was with the Giants before that. He may have played him against the Giants, but
Yeah, he
with
saw them. He saw them
Philadelphia.
in week. He saw them in week 4 as well last year too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no one gets 50 yards against them. So Seattle's not going to be able to run. We know Seattle wants to run. They fired their coordinator from last year because he didn't run enough. So,
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to run. But then Seattle also has a great run defense. So Tampa's not going to be able to run. Plus Bucky Irving's hurt. So you have like both these teams are going to have to pass. And I think for me, I just trust Baker Mayfield more than Sam Darnold. Yeah, maybe that's misguided. Sam Darnold played well last week. Maybe this situation is going to be good for him. He did have a very good year last year. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just wrong about this, but I do trust Mayfield more. So I'm going to side with Tampa. I'm not like this is not one of my games I'm going to bet. What do you think about this one?
Were you still showing what, solid 3.5s?
Yeah, 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Tampa as well, and I like Tampa on the money line.
Okay, yeah. Any like reason why you like Tampa here?
No, you just pointed out that the strengths of this are similar, the weaknesses are similar. I actually do have Seattle favored in this game, but it's because the line. I think it's because Tampa Bay has won so many close games. So I don't penalize them for winning close games when the point spread is close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when a favorite or underdog, and of course they've been winning these games. And my other set of metrics rates this game exactly even. So if I can get 3 or more with a team like that, even on the road, and Baker Mayfield has been such a positive addition to this team that I find it hard. I did go against them last week with the Eagles because it's going up against another good team who has struggled with Tampa Bay in the past, but. Just the 3.5 just is very attractive, and I've got a lot of situations that do point to Tampa Bay and that point to Tampa Bay in general in this game.
Okay, Cassandra asking, when's the last time Tampa allowed a 50-plus rusher? Andy, do you know this? This is
No.
It's a surprising. The last rusher to have more than 50 yards against them was Sincere McCormick last year. The Raiders' Sincere McCormick.
Oh.
I think it's because Vita Vea was out in that game. So that could be it. But yeah, I mentioned the runners. McCaffrey didn't get there. Bijan didn't get there.
Barkley
didn't get there. Also, Breece Hall didn't get there either.
Which is amazing because they played. Barkley had those 2,000 yards last year. And was held to under 50 in one of the games that they played. And he sat out game 17 and still did what he did. Pretty amazing.
It's crazy. Yeah, this defense.
It's pretty amazing for Barkley, and it's pretty amazing for Tampa Bay being the team that could contain them the way they did.
Yeah, look, I've been betting the opposing rusher under yards every week so far against Tampa. Mm-hmm. It's been successful, so we're going to continue to do it. We'll see what the lines are though for Walker and Charbonnet because they split touches. Okay, next game is Bengals at the Lions at the Bengals. Lions are minus 10.5, and it might not be enough. You mentioned that there's a line that is higher than Arizona.
That's the one.
There, yeah, I was
18.
About that. 18. Yeah. I was about to say that this is
18 because Cincinnati is one of the I have them ranked in that metric I mentioned. They are ranked 31. Detroit is ranked 3rd, which is a difference of 28, which is about as high as the only higher difference is they had 1 versus 32.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I made this 13.5. So we agree that this line is too short here. So the Bengals are not
the only concern to a certain extent. They're at Kansas City next week. Detroit.
Yeah, it could be. That's a good point.
But Cincinnati may not be able to do anything about it.
Yeah, not only are they the far inferior team, they're also on short rest too, and they need all the prep time they can get to play.
About Cincinnati?
Cincinnati's on short rest, because they played the Monday night game against.
Against Denver.
Yeah. So they're on a short week.
They barely participated in it, but yes, they did.
Yeah, they quote unquote played. Yes.
Well, the other thing is their defense is still pretty bad, and now they're being supported by, if not the greatest, one of the greatest most significant drop-offs between starter and replacement.
Yes.
Quarterback.
Yeah, and it's not just the quarterback that's the issue in the offense. The offensive line can't block either.
Yeah.
So you have the Detroit front that put a lot of pressure on Baltimore, put a lot of pressure on Cleveland. They have Aiden Hutchinson.
Remember Detroit, if they didn't have all those injuries at the end of the season, real good chance they win the Super Bowl or they make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. For sure. This is a team that they still have those injuries. They still have some injuries, like Ali McNeil, for example, not playing. Malcolm Rodriguez is out, but they a lot of their guys are back from last year, and so this seems like a game that they should win easily. It's not like the best spot for them, as you said. They have to play at Kansas City, and they're coming off a blowout win against the Browns. So I don't know how focused they're going to be, but like you said, since even if they're like at 70% focus, like they'll still beat Cincinnati pretty easily. So
only thing how many turnovers does Detroit have this year?
How many turnovers did they committed or
commit?
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay.
Turnovers have the Lions committed this year. I don't know if I could trust AI. They committed 1 turnover so far as a fumble. I'll tell you what,
let me see, because I do have the week by week box scores, I believe, here somewhere. So if I can find that, I can get the answer.
Okay. Well, this other site saying they have 2 turnovers, so I don't know what to make of this. You can't trust AI at all. I was asking AI today, what's the best baseball bet today? And they're like, we like the under in the Red Sox Yankees game because Crochet, I don't know how you pronounce his name. Crochet. They're like, Crochet is pitching well. Wait, he's not pitching tonight. And it's like, oh, oops, sorry for the
that was last night. Yeah.
right.
No, that's it. In other words, if you ask Google right now, your last response said Detroit has committed only 1 turnover. I read somewhere that they have committed 2 turnovers this year, and then Google come back and say, "I'm sorry, you are correct."
Right.
or you may have been mistaken. I've got the thing. Okay, Detroit in the first week played at Green Bay, and Detroit had 1 interception, no fumbles lost.
Mm-hmm.
In week 2, Detroit played
Chicago
home against Chicago, no turnovers. In week 3, they played
Baltimore,
and they had 1 turnover, a fumble loss, no interceptions. And then this last week they played where was it? Cleveland.
Cleveland, and
Detroit had 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions.
Goff threw 2 interceptions?
If he played the whole game, yeah.
Okay. All right, so
that's 4. That's still 1. That's 1 a game.
Right.
So the only way I think that they might not cover against Cincinnati and possibly not win, depending on the number, is through turnovers, especially turnovers that have been after gaining 60 yards in 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I agree with that comment about AI. Absolutely.
AI is really good at generating code. I'll say that. They if I need like a shortcut, if I'm doing code, if I do like NFL game recaps, for example, I write the code out so I can just post my recap into it. But that takes me like 20 minutes to just like delete the team, write the new team in. It's annoying. It's very annoying. If I ask ChatGPT, I'm like, please do this. I give it instructions, it spits it out in 30 seconds. It's so great.
Yeah.
It's such
I don't know. I don't like the idea of going like in 20 years. I probably won't be around here, but in 20 years going to a doctor. What university did you go to? I went to the University of Artificial Intelligence. Run the other way. I don't want any doctor who's relying on artificial intelligence to remove a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, it's
and by the way, if you ask artificial intelligence how to remove a Band-Aid, they'll probably go through a 6-step process that involves getting a towel, getting some water, make sure your fingers are limber.
Yeah, it's all we go wrong.
Yeah, let me go back and take a look. I got the stats here for Detroit. Yes, no, see that? Well, no, see, there's wrong here. That they only had 1 interception in the game.
Yeah, I saw Goff only had 1 interception.
Yeah, 16 for 27, I believe.
Yeah, so I guess 3 turnovers. So
we're still very good.
Yeah. Anyway, I think you're right. I mean, like if weird stuff happens in this game, like a kickoff return, fumble return, punt return, like the Bengals will have to win oddly or have to like just benefit oddly to be competitive here. So all right, so I think we can move on. We both are you betting Detroit? Are you putting them in the contest, or what are you thinking? You didn't.
I'm going to be saving them. I've not used them yet for a Survivor, so I won't be using them. Like I said, I'm right now. I'm contemplating Minnesota, Indianapolis, and I think Arizona is the other one. I don't know if there's anyone other than that I really would consider this week, and I'm leaning heavily towards Arizona. Am I going to bet them? I don't know, because I just don't like laying double digits on the road.
Okay.
As inept as Cincinnati is, I don't know what it is. I'd say, go between the same 10 to 13 points.
Okay. Let's go 13.5. I think that would be easier. And then
no, I don't know. I'd go to 13. A nice whole number.
Okay.
So you may get some pushes in there.
Okay, and we'll do since 2010 or 2002. What do you want?
I'll go 2002.
Okay. Double digit. Well, road favorites of 10 to 13 since 2002 are 42 and 52 against the spread.
And what are they straight up?
Straight up 78 and 18 straight up.
Yeah.
So 81.2% straight up, 44.7% ATS.
How about if you just do, and I know I like to use range as well, but since 10 is such a key number that they probably don't move off very often, just if the line is exactly -10.
Okay. So let's see here. So I actually did I put in since 2010. Since 2010, it's 19 and 21 against the spread, 31 and 10 straight up. I'll do 2002, but I think the big underdogs have gotten worse since 2000 since then, because since 2002, well, it's pretty much the same. So since 2002, 10.5 to 13 is 29.
I wanted exactly 10.
Oh, you want exactly 10?
Exactly -10.
Okay, I took out 10.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah, no, I wanted the other. I wanted only 10 because 10 is a key number.
Okay, I thought because this moved to 10.5. I thought that's why you wanted 10.
Yeah.
Well, let me give you this first. 10.5 to 13 is 29 and 32 against the spread. 49 and 13 straight up, so 79% straight up, 47.5.
Pretty much what we said before for including the 10 in there.
Yeah, and exactly 10 would be let's see, 13 and 20 against the spread, 29 and 5 straight up, so 85.3 straight up, 39.4 against the spread.
So in other words, at exactly 10, the straight up numbers are significantly better, and the ATS numbers are significantly worse when you put those extra points in there.
Yes, and I take it you're pointing out that this moved off 10, which is a bullish indicator for Detroit in comparison to what it would be if they didn't.
Well, I wasn't looking at it there. I was just saying that because 10 is a number where you might have a little bit more reluctance to move a number than if it was, say, 9.5 or 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, 10.5, it might be more of a likelihood to go from 10.5 to 11 or 10.5 to 10 than there is from 10 to go to 10.5. Although maybe it got there initially after it was 10. So just curious about that.
Yeah, I take it as a
that's why I'm reluctant to lay a. Well, again, my number says 18, so that's still an 8-point or 7.5 point variance.
Right.
So, but there are better games than that where I think, it's like if I had to bet the game, it would be Detroit, but I don't have to bet the game, and I probably won't. And I can't even make a case for the over, and I certainly don't want a case for the under.
Yeah, I'll take it as a bullish indicator that they moved off 10. Like if they just kept it on 10, I think that it would be a sign of weakness for Detroit, but it's not. Cassandra's saying we might be on Cincinnati this week. Please switch us as well. What, Cassandra? Please tell me why you like Cincinnati. Is it just because of the number? Maybe that's it.
I think the game. What was the advanced line? 8.
Let me see. The advanced line on this game was 7.5.
Okay.
I think people kind of understanding that Cincinnati is one of the worst teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think people quite understand how bad they are. Like, I think people are coming around to it, but I don't think they quite get that the Bengals are a Group F team, which, I think it's pretty obvious. Like, even with Burrow, they should have lost to Cleveland. Like, this is a horrible team. Like, horrible. They can't stop anyone. They can't block anyone. They don't have They don't have a quarterback. So, I don't see where their only positive is Jamar Chase, and the guy can't get him the ball.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, it's a pretty stressful situation. Anyway, the next game, the last of the late afternoon games, Washington at the LA Chargers. This line actually moved off 3. It was 3 for a while. It's 2.5 now. Although the Vegas juiced to -120, but still. So you mentioned Jaden Daniels potentially being back this week. I think if Jaden Daniels were out again, I would be on the Chargers. I think that their defense is too good for Marcus Mariota. I talked about how
I have severe offensive line questions.
Sure, I do too.
With the left tackle, they're basically now down to their third string.
Yes, I agree.
And Alt Alt played the position in college, so I mean there was some drop off, but not as much as you would normally have. But now you have to believe there's a significant drop off between, number 1 and 2, and now number 3.
Yeah. So,
and Herbert hasn't looked that sharp this season as sharp as he had in the past anyway.
Well, he had a great start to the year, and then just kind of last week it was pretty bad because he had no protection, and there were 2 turnovers where he kind of panicked, and the Giants got set up at the 3-yard line both times, and they scored a combined 11 points. If you take off the 11 points, I know coulda, woulda, shoulda, but if you take off the 11, if you take off the 11 points. Right, it goes from 28 to 18 to 18-10, and so that looks a lot better. If Herbert just takes care of the ball, the Chargers may win that game. Or
he had 3 interceptions all regular season last year. He's got 3 right now.
Yeah, well, two came in that game because he had no time in the pocket against that Giants pass rush. So
is he going to have any more time in the pocket against Washington?
Well, I'll say this that. Maybe because for 2 reasons. One, Washington doesn't rush the passer as well as the Giants.
And they might this week.
Okay, yeah. But 2, I would say that Jim Harbaugh is that good of a coach where I think that he could maybe devise some sort of game plan to counter this pressure that they're going to see.
There's that word maybe again.
Right. Yeah. I'm not going to advocate for a bet on the Chargers. I just think that I'm just saying, like, just kind of arguing against Washington here. I feel like I think I trust Harbaugh on it. Like, if the Chargers weren't coached well, I would say like this could be a disaster. But Jim Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the NFL.
I think Quinn's been a pretty good coach as well.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I think Quinn's a pretty good coach as well.
Yeah, that's fair. But I'm just talking about Harbaugh here.
I mean, if you group coaches A, B, C, Harbaugh is clearly an A.
Yes,
I'd say. Quinn's probably a B+.
Really? You think so? I'm not as high.
Well, look what he did with Washington in 1 year.
Yeah, maybe that's more.
And he had modest success elsewhere.
Yeah, although not as much after Kyle Shanahan left in Atlanta. I think that was a lot on Kyle Shanahan. I think, despite his blunder in the Super Bowl, who can bench press more? Yeah,
was that Quinn or was that Shanahan's blunder in the Super Bowl?
Shanahan's blunder in the Super Bowl where they didn't run out the clock.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so I can't blame that on Quinn.
No, I wasn't doing that. I just think that after Shanahan left, Quinn did much worse in Atlanta. That's all I was saying. But my point here, that I'm not like, this is not on Quinn. I think that I just trust Jim Harbaugh to come up with a plan to have to kind of counter this poor blocking that they're potentially going to have.
Well, the problem is who's the backup running back for the Chargers?
Running back
behind the rookie.
Their backup running back is Hassan Haskins.
Yeah, because you're going to have to rely on a good running game to keep the Washington offense off the field even without McLaren.
Yeah,
and which means you're going to have to worry about that's where the run blocking comes into play as well as the pass protection.
Yes, I do.
I like the under in this game. I'll say that right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would say that if this is not Daniels, if this is Mariota again, I think I would be on the Chargers because I think their defense is just gonna be too good for Mariota to handle stuff like kind of like what we saw with Atlanta, except magnified because the Chargers defense is better than Atlanta's. Yeah. However, if this
you take a look at the numbers, Atlanta's got a real good defense this year.
Yeah, no, the Chargers are a little bit higher in defense, but they're both in top 10. Yeah. I think Atlanta, Atlanta's 5 and Chargers are 6, so that's kind of side by side. But anyway, but if Daniels is back, I worry about taking the Chargers here. I think that Daniels could will his team to victory. I don't like taking quarterbacks coming off their first game back from injury just because they may not be 100%. Case in point, Brock Purdy last week, he just wasn't 100%. He'd really struggled. So we don't really know what we're going to get out of Daniels, but we could.
I would not mind if Daniels does not start, and for exactly the reason you said. And it's a tough place for them to win, but they realize they are going up against a battered offensive line at a very key position, and that maybe they have some confidence in Mariota that in that set of circumstances, the defense will have success in holding down what the Chargers might normally like to be able, or not normally like to do, but they have been able to do.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind Mariota playing.
Okay. Yeah, we disagree on that one. I think that Mariota playing would be an automatic fade on the Washington, but at the same time the line would move up though. So I don't know what the line would be with Mariota.
And I think even with the players that Washington has, and of course no McLaren, I wouldn't be shocked by a second straight loss for the Chargers.
Yeah, well, I think if Daniels plays, I wouldn't be shocked by that either.
No, I'm saying even with Mariota in there.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we're disagreeing. But I think Daniels coming back would be an upgrade, even if he's not 100%. Now, if he's like 20%, then it wouldn't be. But if he's like 80%, then I think he would be an upgrade over Mariota against this defense, at least.
Well, the only thing is with Mariota, every game he starts, he gets more experience.
Yeah.
Working with the players, recognizing defenses. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. So, I take it you're on you're on Washington no matter what.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Well, because if Mariota's in there, the line may go up to high as 4.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of the Super Contest / Circa Millions, where this line I assume is going to be locked in.
Let me see what the line is.
In the Westgate, it's 2.5.
Let me see. 2.5. Okay, yeah.
2.5. So yeah,
don't know if I would play it at 2.5. It depends on who else I would be considering, but I will certainly out of pocket have Washington on the money line.
Okay, so what if this is what if it's Mariota and the line goes like 4 or 4.5? Would you consider taking the Chargers at the -2.5 just based on the number?
It's possible. Again, it depends who else I'm considering this week. Where I will almost certainly still be betting the Washington on the money line with or without Daniels. Okay, but as far as playing it in the contest, if Washington does not win the game outright and I lose a bet, that's okay. I would not want to take them +2.5 in the contest.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad.
That's different.
Yeah,
that would be taking it. Again, when I make a money line bet, it's not necessarily I think that the team is going to win, but I think that they have a relatively better chance to win than the money line suggests.
Mm-hmm. I think if you're like way behind, it's contrarian and maybe catch up, but I don't do that. So, does your Cardinals source have any info on the running back situation? Seems like Carter will play too. I haven't asked him about that. I usually don't ask him about in-season stuff. Like he's really good to me for the draft content, like because he talks to the GM and stuff. I don't know if he could talk to the coaches though. So I don't know if he'd have a good answer for me on Carter versus DeMarcado. So I don't know. I can ask him. I don't know if he's available right now because I usually just talk to him during the springtime. But anyway, all right, we have 2 more games to go.
Yeah.
Patriots at the Bills. The Bills are -8, down from 8.5. They've been in money pit recently. Just people betting on them because they have an impressive record, but they keep losing ATS. I don't know if Matt Milano and Ed Oliver are going to play in this game. I don't really trust the Wednesday injury report. It says Ed Oliver and Matt Milano returned to practice. To what extent, I don't know, but I guess it's promising.
Well, wouldn't they normally say limited practice if it was limited practice?
Yeah, it's limited practice, sure, but we don't know how limited. Like they don't tell us. Like, did they like put on cleats and just walk around? Is that limited?
Yeah.
Like, we just don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, no, and that's important. The definition. Yeah. What is the definition of limited?
Right, but it's
better
than
show
DMP,
up?
at least.
Do you put on pads? Do you play more than 50% of the possible snaps in practice?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Right. John is really accurate on this stuff. He said Oliver is probably out. Milano probably plays. Okay. So if that's true, if that's what happens, I like the Bills here too. The trend is that they haven't covered. I think people are going to talk themselves into the
And look at the
Patriots.
scores their last 5 or 6 meetings. I think these teams actually. Now, of course, I think one of them was at the end of the season, but I believe these teams split their season series each of the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'll put that up in a second. So,
and they were all competitive games.
So last year, I think we could ignore the Week 18 game that none of the starters played, but it was Bills 24, Patriots 21 on December 22nd. Bills were favored by 14.
What was the earlier game?
That was the earlier game.
What, they played twice in December and January?
Yeah, they played like January 5th was the second game, and no starters played.
So that would have been week 17, week 16 that they played.
Yeah, 16
and 18.
16, 18, yeah.
Another great scheduling decision.
I know. What is that? 2023. So they played at New England. Bills are -8.5. Patriots 29, Bills 25. So upset there. On New Year's Eve, they played at Buffalo. Bills are -12. Bills won 27-21. So the Bills haven't covered against.
Now was that week 18 or 17?
That was 17.
Okay.
The last time the Bills covered against the Patriots was the final meeting in 2022. Actually, the Bills covered both those games. In 2022 at New England, the Bills are only -4. They won 24-10. And then week 18 at Buffalo, the Bills are -8. The Bills won 35-23. So in 2022, they covered both ways. Yeah, they've covered both times in 2022. They covered neither time in 2023, and they also covered neither time in 2024. So that's where we stand with this divisional rivalry here. So going to this game to boo things. Nice. Anyway, I'm not high on this game. I really don't have a strong take here. My inclination is to take Buffalo because this line has dropped a bit. The advanced line was 10 and now it's 8, and we might get Milano back. So that is a big difference. Like, he's the heart and soul of that team.
Yeah. This is another game where I have a big difference in some of the stats that I look at. My overall power rating number, Buffalo by 11. So that could support a play on Buffalo. Again, for Abel, I don't know how much he remembers about the rivalry between the two. I don't know how many times he played the Bills when they were when he was coaching at Tennessee, and I don't know how much that would matter considering the changeover in personnel. Well, certainly with the Patriots. So Josh Allen's been here for now 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. I think it's a reasonable number to expect Buffalo to be able to win by double digits, even if it's like 10-14. That's still enough to cover that number. Buffalo next week is at Atlanta. By the way, this is the third of 3 straight home games for Buffalo. That could be a little bit of an advantage as well. And they go to Atlanta, and then they have their bye week. As far as the Patriots, this is the first of a 3-game road trip at Buffalo, at New Orleans, at Tennessee. And I don't know that they look at it this way, but I think they have much better chances winning at New Orleans, at Tennessee, than they do at Buffalo, even as covering.
That's
because I think those games at New Orleans and at Tennessee are winnable. I just don't know against Buffalo if they have enough to contain Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what's New England's defensive numbers? I don't think they're very good, are they? I know yards per play, they're not very good.
EPA, they're 27th.
Okay, that's about where I would have figured them.
Yeah, their defense allowed Geno Smith to have his only good game of the year. So that should tell you everything you need to know about that. Drake May has looked good, as John's saying, but he's played some shaky defenses this year. Look, I like Drake May, but he's played the Raiders, he's played the Dolphins, he has played the Steelers, who have not had good numbers defensively, and he's played the Panthers. Yeah, that's not the toughest schedule here.
So who they played? They played the Dolphins, the Raiders, the Panthers, and the Steelers. And what's the combined record of the Panthers and the Raiders? And who is the other one in there?
Panthers are 1-3. Dolphins are 1-3. So that's
and the Raiders
6. And Raiders are 1-3, 3-9. But Steelers are 3-1. So 6-10 combined record here. Steelers, I think, 3-1 with an asterisk. So Gonzalez did miss.
Well, they all have asterisks. Miami has an asterisk because they played the Jets.
Right. That's definitely true. So yeah, they've had a very soft schedule,
Yeah.
soft defense here. Milano maybe coming back,
I
but
think we both agreed
yeah,
on the under season total for the Patriots, didn't we?
I was neutral on it. I
Okay,
didn't really
I
have a
know
strong take.
I have the under on that one. Under was
I
it 8.5? I think it was,
I remember
which I thought was
you
a ridiculous number.
I remember you telling me that when we had our hot dogs at a cafe,
Yes,
which had it was quite good.
which was like a month before the season started.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so all right, that last game, Chiefs at the Jaguars. This line has moved to 3.5. There is still a -3, -118 out there on FanDuel. So if you want to bet this,
And you said this one was -3 on the 10-day line.
yeah, it's minus advanced line is -3. FanDuel is -3, -118. So if you like
basically
the Chiefs,
virtually no adjustment after Kansas City played obviously its best game of the year and won comfortably, and Jacksonville pulled a very nice upset at San Francisco as an underdog.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously as an underdog if it was an upset.
Yeah,
but didn't they lead wire to wire in that game, Jacksonville?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. But Brock Purdy was not healthy in that game. I think that was a big part of that win. When this is 3, I like the Chiefs a lot more. 3.5, just there's the margin for error kind of grow or just decreases here. And this is a Chiefs team that usually does the bare minimum to win. Like they usually win by 1, 2, 3 points. So I have concern taking them at -3.5, especially coming off a big win. So, but I don't want to take Jacksonville either. This is a Jacksonville team. Despite the record, I don't trust them. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence. I don't trust the head coach. I don't think the defense.
How can you not trust the head coach? This is his first year.
I don't. Well,
what do you know? What do we know about him as a head coach? Other than he's got this team to play better than they have in the last few years early in the season.
Well, I don't trust a couple of things about him. One, he's a hothead. He was yelling at Robert Saleh. It just kind of. I don't think he's a very smart.
What position does Saleh play?
I
know he complimented it on their sign stealing techniques.
Yeah, the position Saleh plays is the position of being able to beat up Liam Cohen very easily if they got engaged into fisticuffs.
Yeah, no, I have no reason right now, based upon their early season start, to have a negative impression on him. Doesn't mean I have a positive view of him. It's pretty much neutral. If I had to say yes or no, I'd say yes, only because of what he's done, considering what he has to work with. They lost to Tennessee at Cincinnati at the end of the game in what was a back and forth game. They took care of Houston. Then they go on the road, and people, there are always injuries, and you can explain that's made up for in the line. And yet they go into San Francisco and win a game wire to wire. So I give them credit, and of course they beat Jacksonville early on, which they were expected to do. So unless he wasn't making any decisions, I have to say there are more reasons to like him as a coach than to not like him as a coach.
Well,
or at the very least be neutral.
Well, I think there are a few other reasons I don't trust Cohen, and John such as Lawrence regressing under him. Lawrence has not played well under,
and they've won despite that.
Sure,
give him time. Give him time.
Another thing I don't trust is in-game management. 2 things in that Cincinnati game he screwed up is that 4th and 5 at the end where he didn't kick the field goal. If it's a 4th and 1, sure, go for it. 4th and 5 is ridiculous to not kick the field goal where you force.
How much time was left?
Not much, not at all. Not much at all. It's like a minute left or minute 20 or something. Not. And
what were they down by 3 at the time?
They were up 3, and so so they could have gotten to 6, and so you would have forced Browning to get the touchdown.
To go to the touchdown, yeah.
Right, and even if he scores a touchdown,
which they did anyway, I believe.
Sure, but if they do get the touchdown, you only need a field goal to win, and so you wouldn't have a lot of time left. And they did have a little bit of time left to move into field goal range, but they needed a touchdown. Because
what was the other key error?
The other thing in that game was that on the final offensive drive, Liam Cohen just started yelling at Trevor Lawrence as Lawrence is trying to move down the field and just get a playoff, and Cohen just started yelling at him incoherently. I don't know why.
A lot of coaches do that. A lot of coaches do that. Even the Josh Allen gets yelled at.
On the sideline, but not when they're trying to run a play. He just disrupted that drive. So he's just a hothead. I don't trust him. And the fact that he hasn't figured out how to use their number 2 overall pick yet, I think that's a stain on him for sure. He's using Travis Hunter incorrectly. It just doesn't make sense how he's using it.
Well, I think it's a mistake to have him playing two ways. Pick one or the other.
Well, I agree, and it's
But
also
I think a lot of that decision has to go with ownership.
okay. I can buy that, but I think if you focus just on the offense, like they have him playing in the slot, which is just not a natural position for him. Like he's at Colorado last year, he was an outside receiver, just going downfield.
Yeah.
They have him running over the middle of the field, like for some reason. That's not utilizing his strengths. So I like there's just a lot of things I don't trust about Cohen. Look, he's a offensive minded wise, like running game, like what he's done with ATN has been really impressive. So it's not all negative, but he's done a lot of things. I just don't trust with him. I don't know. And plus he is an unknown. He's only coached 4 games. So they could easily regress. They could lose more games or they could
I'm saying from what we've seen so far, how many wins did they have last year? They were 4-13 and they're halfway there. Yeah. To the wins, that is.
Right, but I mean Lawrence missed half the year or two, so they had Mac Jones playing.
Even so.
Yeah, and Doug Peterson had one
even so, you said Lawrence has been not regressed, so maybe missing the last 6 months of the year allowed them to win 4 games.
Yeah. Oh well, you couldn't. It's points to like how many wins did they have during Lawrence's the last time Lawrence played.
I always feel that they give too much blame to the quarterback. A quarterback's record is only reflective of the talent around him. Mm-hmm. and the injuries that they have to overcome. In other words, for example, if Lamar Jackson is credited with a loss in that 41-40 game at Baltimore. Right. He didn't lose the game for him. No. He may have made some bad plays. I mean, you could blame Derrick Henry, whatever. The point is, you put 40 points up on the board. I don't remember if there were any defensive or punt. You put 40 points up on the board. You can't be expected to play a perfect game, but 40 points will win you 95% of NFL games.
Yeah, they should start attributing losses to certain players. Let's give them a loss.
Well, again, the problem is it's so subjective because you're picking one or two plays out. I know. Now, if you get sacked 6 times, that's you could say that's attributable to a loss, an unusual outlier statistic. Like for example, you get a receiver who catches 3 touchdowns and gains 170 yards in the process. You could credit him with a win.
Yeah, that's.
But then again, you also credit the offensive line for blocking to give the quarterback enough time, and credit to the quarterback for getting him the ball.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to this.
Football is, well, I guess you could say, football is the ultimate team game.
Yeah, that's
a single player can win a basketball game. A single player can win baseball games. Could be a pitcher. Could be a Aaron Judge. Except in the playoffs, but and hockey is more also of an individual sport. Scoring goals or preventing goals. It's so important for the goalie to be a good goalie. But in football, your offense can play a spectacular game, but if your defense can't stop anybody, there's a game that you can't pull the line. And you say, well, look, the offense turned the ball over 2 times. Yeah, but they also scored 35 unanswered points.
Yeah. Because I'd say competitive bobsledding is the ultimate team game. Yeah, for sure. Anyway,
just like the ultimate individual sport is what I call it, ski jumping.
Yeah. Could Chris Olave just be dropped? I'm so sick of this guy. It's the whole Saints team is just miserable. So, I don't know if you need the roster spot. Yes, but I don't know. He's going to be an okay producer all year. That's all he's going to be. Anyway, I don't think we've talked about who we liked in this game. We talked about this game a lot.
That's right. Yeah.
My take on this game is that I like the Chiefs a bit at -3, at -3.5. I don't think I'll be on this game, unfortunately, because it's a standalone game. But like I said, -3, -118 at FanDuel right now. So if you like that, I would lock that in. What do you think about this game?
I like the under more than either side, although I do like it +3.5 or more. I do like Jacksonville. The team's playing with newly found confidence. I'm not sure that the offensive woes of the Chiefs were cured last week against what we both admitted is a weak Baltimore defense. Although, if you are Kansas City, you do have to be encouraged because it followed up that 4th quarter against the Giants. But again, and the Giants do have a pass rush, so it's not like they're an abysmal defense. They do have a solid front. But again, we've seen it now going back to last year that The Chiefs do not win pretty. They do not win by margins, although surprisingly enough, last week was a very comfortable margin. What was the final? 37-20?
Yeah, I
It
mean,
could have been, and it was much worse than that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it was a big game, though.
I don't know what to think about Kansas City. I do know that Jacksonville is playing with a great deal of confidence right now, especially on defense. As I said, where do they rank defensively according to the numbers that you like to use?
Number 2.
Okay.
Number 2. I don't.
Behind what? Right behind Cleveland?
Minnesota, actually.
Minnesota. Okay.
Yeah.
Where does Cleveland rank?
15.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that.
No,
because they gave up all those points to Baltimore and Detroit, possibly.
Detroit, yeah.
But I guess there are ways that they can smooth out the level of competition and make adjustments. One thing that I like to do, like when I make some of my predictions, and this is a program I wrote years and years ago, is let's say that Kansas City is allowing 20 points per game, and let's say Baltimore scores 24, so Baltimore gets credit for +4. As far as how much they defeated Kansas City's average, taking out the game against Baltimore. So in other words, let's say they allowed 100 points, including Baltimore, and let's say for whatever reason, I'll say that let's say they meet Baltimore 2 weeks later again for playoffs or whatever. I would take Kansas City's average is 100 points. They already gave up 24 to Baltimore, who they're facing. So that now would be 76 divided by 3, which is about 25.3, and Baltimore scored 24. So Baltimore actually fell short of what Kansas City was allowing on average. So I put that in there to sort of take out the effect of a team's performance included in the numbers of their opponent. Okay, because obviously their numbers impact the average by the team they're playing, and I want to eliminate the team that they just faced, but it'll be like for an upcoming opponent, or let's say a divisional rematch. Let's say.
Right.
Okay, so I just do that. So I think they're playing with a. So where does Kansas City rank in that defense numbers?
Kansas City is 22.
Okay, and I think they're better than 22 defensively. And again, take a look at some of the teams they played. The Chargers.
Look, the
Ravens.
They couldn't stop the Chargers. Lamar Jackson got hurt in that game, so he didn't do much late in the game. So yeah, I mean,
they did stop the Giants, but everybody was doing it, and they played decently. Look, they won the game against the Eagles. It was 17 points.
Yeah, they played 2 Group A teams and 1 Group B team so far.
So that should be better. So that should still be better than a number 22 defense.
Yeah, I agree with that. So
because I'm guessing EVA does not include quality of opposition.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to take.
Which is, by the way, there's the scientific method of evaluation, which are basically numbers, and then these artistic, which is a subjective part, but it's the interpretation and application of the numbers.
Right.
Where are the numbers misleading, and where are they very much reflective of what a team has accomplished, taking into account who they played. That's why, and of course, obviously injuries factor in it, but that's kind of a situation where I'm looking at Baltimore this week, considering who they played in 4 weeks against, 3 very good offensive teams. Who was it? Detroit, Buffalo, and who was the other one that I left out?
Kansas City,
and then the very good defensive team, Cleveland.
Right.
Where they still, and even if you take out those garbage points, they still slightly exceeded. Because I think Cleveland's allowing a lot of points because of the points that Detroit scored against them, which I think were legitimate points, as opposed to the points that Baltimore scored. Not that they weren't legitimate, but they all came. Most of those points came late.
Yeah. Detroit just. I mean, they just got turnovers from Joe Flacco, and they just turned those into points.
Which they're capable of doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, in any event, that's sort of like the difference in the numbers. So I'm going to look for, like I say, if I really like them, I'd play them in Survivor, but I don't like them that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like them enough. I do like them enough to bet them on the money line.
Yeah. Well, you have to consider. For Detroit, you have to consider Detroit for.
Detroit, yeah. What I'm saying, for what?
For Thanksgiving, for the Survivors. So.
Yeah, well, but again, let's see how Green Bay's playing. I mean, it's a big revenge game for Detroit because it could have division implications. But who's to say, notwithstanding the last 2 weeks, that Green Bay isn't every bit as good or perhaps better by the time they've played 13, 14 games.
Right. I'm just saying that, like, you should
But yeah,
try
strategy says, you want to hold on to Detroit.
try to keep all those teams around for that slate because what if Jordan Love gets hurt and
Yeah.
suddenly that becomes
What if Jared Goff gets hurt?
Well, I'm just saying if
Yeah.
in the event that the Packers have
I try to use the better teams against good teams as well.
Right.
Okay, because that means that's one less bad team that you have to use. At the same time, I'd like to use an Arizona team this week against Tennessee because there aren't very many spots that I would consider Arizona. And I would say, and if I recall correctly, Arizona was not one of the 20 teams I considered for play before the season started.
Okay.
Which means I get a chance to play another of the 20 teams I had listed. But then there are going to be some of those 20 teams that also are disappointing.
Yeah.
So, which will be eliminated.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of game strategy there, but there are a lot of variations because we all have different opinions on different teams.
Yeah, that's true. But we can all identify, the 4 or 5 worst teams and not use them at all. So
yeah,
like, for example, like I wouldn't use the Saints this week, against the Giants. It just doesn't make any sense to. Like,
no,
there's no reason to take.
Nor would I use the Giants against the Saints.
Right. Same thing. Yeah.
If this were Game 6 and Jackson Dart had played well for the 2 or 3 games he was in, even if the Giants lost some of those games, I might consider playing the Giants against New Orleans if New Orleans continues to stumble.
Yeah,
and didn't play well.
Yeah. Right.
But the problem is New Orleans has shown a little bit of life. Yeah, they went up to Seattle a couple of weeks ago, or whenever it was, 2 weeks ago, they got blown out or whatever. But they've shown even Rattler has improved a little bit from what was expected of him before the season started and the way he started the season, even though a lot of the numbers early on were garbage time. But New Orleans is playing. I don't think they're playing as bad as can be expected when you take a look at all their games, but they weren't expected to do very much.
Right.
Giants at least were expected to I think 6.5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Saints were maybe 4.5.
Yeah, the Saints had the worst, which I didn't bet because they had such an easy schedule. Whereas I did bet the Giants under, and the Dolphins under too. So, all right, I mean that's about it. We're over 2 hours, but I
wonder if we're the only two left talking, or watching or viewing.
I mean, it looks like on YouTube we have 26 people in here and 1 on Twitch and 3 on X it says 367, but I don't know how accurate that is. Chris is viewing. Andy, who do you have in tomorrow's baseball games? Hoping the Tigers get up by 15 runs and find a way to lose.
I haven't handicapped tomorrow's games yet. I'll be interested to see. Well, I guess the Dodger series is over. They won tonight, I believe. So we got 3 games threes for the first time, I believe, since they started the new thing. I'm disappointed that the Padres have not been able to produce more at Wrigley Field. Not that the Cubs have either, but the Cubs are using. I didn't see the box score today, but I know yesterday they used like 5 or 6 pitchers. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen the odds, so I don't know. I certainly can understand the Tigers, the anti-Tigers sentiment. It's to be a shame because they had such a good season. But hey, there's another team. You are what your record is. They weren't able to close it out. They were in position to be the number 1 seed in the American League for a good part of the season. They have only themselves to blame. And then, of course, what happened? What was it when they lost, swept by Baltimore? I think it was in this round. So maybe it's just a team that just can't find ways to win when the pressure is on. Kind of like the Mets this season. Mm-hmm. Middle of June, they had the best record in baseball. Now they have, I think, I don't even know if they have the best record of the teams that haven't made the playoffs, but they're pretty close to that. But they had a big lead and just frittered it away. As far as tomorrow, let me see. The other game is Yankees and Red Sox. Don't know what to expect there, other than these teams have played 2 straight low-scoring games, 4-3, which stayed a little bit under the total. I think it actually opened to 8. I think went down to 7.5, and of course the 3-1 game that they blew last night, Tuesday night, when they took out Fried. I don't know that I had such a problem about taking Fried out. He had made 100 pitches or something. Could have gone a little bit deeper. But again, I think part of it is also because he had some issues with the blister this year, that they may have wanted to say, you know what, you're not going to pitch for another 4 or 5 days. We can turn it over to the bullpen. The problem is the bullpen has been the Yankees' problem.
Right. Right.
And they showed it last night. And look, let's face the Yankees also. First two batters of the game in the first inning, bang bang. They're all. I think one was I think Judge led off with. I think it was Judge led off with a nice single, and then I forget who was behind him got on base. So it was first and second, nobody out, didn't score.
Mm-hmm.
Top of the ninth inning, I think it was bases loaded, nobody out, and they didn't score.
Yeah.
That's not that's not the way that you would expect the Yankees to lose games.
No, it's not. And today,
Crochet pitched a great game, and Bello got hit a little bit hard early, which I wasn't surprised about. And I did have the Yankees on the run line. I felt that they would be able to break out against Bello a little bit more. But look, Cora manages Boone on a regular basis.
I had over 7.5 today at plus 143, and that was
that an in-game play?
No, that was
pre-game.
Pre-game, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And it felt great for a while, and like especially when they had the bases loaded in the 8th, and the Yankees couldn't do anything. Yeah. So that was.
And then in the 9th inning, right, you're right. In the bottom of the 8th inning, they had a rally with 2 outs. What did they end up? I think end of the inning was it the bases loaded or was it 2 on or something? Base
loaded. Grisham was at bat, and okay. I don't know what he did because I was putting my son to bed. I just had the game thing on, and then it said end of inning. I'm like, oh my god, they didn't score.
Yeah,
like I just needed one more run.
So did I, from the Yankees to cover the run line,
right,
which they had covered early when they were up early 2-0, and then they went silent for till the late innings. Till that 6th inning, I think, is when it became 3-3. So, so I can't really come up with anything that sounds all that great tomorrow. Although I do like the pitcher going for the Yankees tomorrow. I got to be careful how I say this. Littler. There are 2 possible mispronunciations of that, which I think we can both figure out. Let me just quickly see if Boston named their starter. He had not been named earlier in the day, and now it looks like it is going to be Early. Not early win. I forget what the C stands for, but a young lefty. And the Yankees right now are about a 155 favorite in the game. Cubs opened 120 with Talion against Darvish. I might take a chance with the Padres. Their pitching has been pretty good. I mean, they gave up 3 runs yesterday, but couldn't score. And today it was, or maybe it was 3-1 yesterday, and then they couldn't do anything. Then the Cubs couldn't do anything today. Detroit, Cleveland. Well, the way this series has been going, the under looks good. Although today, Cleveland broke out late to break the game open, so I may not play any of the games tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I will be playing something because FanDuel gives these bonuses. They're like 50% profit boost. So like you'd be a fool not to take them.
How do those work?
Just get it.
We don't have that here.
Right. So for example today. So for example today, I took the over 7.5, and you can take whatever you want. So I took the over 7.5, and it went from minus 110 to plus 143. And it's a $50 max bet. But still, it's $50.
No, but so where does the 50% come in? How does that work?
The VIG moves from minus 110 to plus 143. I don't know how they calculate.
That's what I was going to say. How it calculates,
yeah. I don't know how exactly they calculate.
But is that on a single straight? Is that straight bets?
Straight bets, yeah.
Okay.
Which it's like you'd be a fool not to take that.
It's like playing alternate lines in football.
Right. You'd be a fool not to take that because, like, in a sense, it's basically a coin flip if you don't know what you're doing, and if you get offered plus 143 in a coin flip, like you'd have to take that every single time. It's a winning proposition.
So that's inducing you just to make a bet because you're getting 50%.
Yeah,
not necessarily because you like it, but if you win, you get more. You get more than what the true odds are.
Yeah, exactly.
Assuming the true odds were the initial odds that were put up, which is probably the case.
Yeah, something I love doing is when sportsbooks have the profit boost on the same games. So like on FanDuel, for example, I did this. It didn't quite work out, but I came close. So like FanDuel, they had a 50% boost on Jets Dolphins. Same thing on DraftKings. So what I did was I took the 50% boost on the Dolphins money line, and I took a 50% profit boost on Jets plus 3.5 alt line. And so
Okay.
they were both like plus 102, 103, ended up working out. So I would have profited no matter what. But if the Dolphins had won by 1, 2, or 3, I would have hit both, which would have been a
So
great
what?
middle.
So what did the line start at, and what did the line end up with the profit boost?
Like the Dolphins money line was like minus 140 or minus 135. I can't remember
Initially,
what it was.
and what did you get it
Yeah,
at?
a plus 102.
So you hit that one.
Right, but I also took Jets plus 3.5 on the other site. So that was also like plus 109 or something.
Before the boost?
After the boost,
Plus,
Jets plus 3.5. Because remember, the Jets are plus 2.5.
Right. Okay.
On the regular, so plus 3.5 before the boost, it was what minus 130, minus 135 or something, and then after the boost, it was plus 109. And so
in other words, you went from a wager that if it were a normal wager, you would have laid what 130 on the plus 3.5.
Yes, or whatever it was, maybe one.
Well, okay, that's reasonable. Yeah. So in other words, instead of laying minus 130, you got plus 109.
Yes,
you would have gotten plus 109. Yeah.
Right, and in the scenario, one of them has to win, at least one, and so it's you're getting plus 102
you're getting plus
or
plus.
109. Right, you're getting plus 102 or plus 109, which is arbitrage. So you're getting one of the wins, but you could middle them. Like you could middle by Dolphins winning by 1, 2, or 3, and you get both bets correct. And so
which was a realistic outcome for that game based upon the ordinary point spread.
Yeah, so that's what I really recommend if you're outside of Vegas and you have access to these online books, because they have to give you profit boosts and stuff like that because there's so much competition here. And so you just look for these deals, like they have them all the time, where you just middle it and make money. Or
I'm not sure, because I think I take a look at it because I do have William Hill, because they have that here in Vegas. I think they do have stuff like that, but their app is horrendous.
So, oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
The time I spend on the app trying to figure out where they place things is not worth as much as my time in doing so.
That I had the same issues with Bovada. I could never find anything on the sports book. They shut down in Pennsylvania though. Now ask Andy if he would be attending game 1 of the finals, the Las Vegas Aces.
Oh, the Aces? Probably not, because I'll be involved in doing proxy responsibilities Friday night for the football on Saturday, as well as making some college bets overnight.
Speaking of college, Andy, do you have a top college play this week?
Well, let's see. I could go with a chalk, or I could go with. You want a nice underdog? Well, let me see who I have here.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me.
I'll say this.
I know I like Cal at home against Duke.
Okay.
Yeah, that one I played at plus, I think, either plus 2 or 2.5, and a little money line on that one.
Cal against Duke. Okay.
I've done well with Duke. I've done well with both Cal and Duke. I had Cal last week, getting the 6.5 at Boston College. I came from behind to win that game outright.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had them. Well, I stayed away the week before when they got blown out at San Diego State. But I had Cal earlier, and I had Duke a couple of times this year. I went against Duke when a lot of people really like Duke against Tulane, because Tulane's quarterback from last year was now starting for Duke. And I loved Tulane in that game, and they ended up winning pretty handily. And then last week I went with Duke against Syracuse. Syracuse had lost their starting quarterback the week before.
Yeah, Syracuse was the only loss I had in the early slate last on Saturday. Yeah. I took Syracuse, but I went 3-1 on the 1:00 games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I could play against Syracuse this week, because what is SMU laying like 17.5 to that one? But I certainly don't want Syracuse.
Yeah.
By the way, one of the games I do like Alabama.
Okay.
You'll read a write-up on that one. They're going up against. This is interesting. They're going up against Vanderbilt. Right. Now, last year, Caleb DeBoer comes over from Washington to replace Nick Saban, who retired, and they start 4-0. Played some weak teams, and they outscored them like 180 to 60 or something like that. The last of which was Georgia, and as a home underdog of, I think it was maybe 1.5 or 2, they beat Georgia 41-34. Very next week, they go into Vanderbilt as 23.5-point road favorites. Vanderbilt had not beaten Alabama since 1984. And prior to that, they didn't beat Alabama since 1969, when Alabama was coached by Bear Bryant. 23.5-point favorite. a legitimate win by Vanderbilt, who I don't believe ever trailed in that game, 44-35. Now they're home to Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt's a much improved team this year. Probably Vanderbilt's best team in the last 20, 30 years. And Alabama's laying 10.5 at home.
Yeah.
Now, last year, that loss to Vanderbilt was the first loss that DeBoer had. It did come the week after the Georgia win. And, remember, he's succeeding Nick Saban, and so the bar is very high for him to even equal what Saban did, or even come close to equaling what Saban did. So they may very well have overlooked Vanderbilt a little bit, and I can understand why. Vanderbilt's not been a very strong program, although last year they had a really good season, and they had already shown by that time, although they were coming off their own upset loss. I think it was the week before to Georgia State, where they were huge favorites against Georgia State. I remember taking Georgia State in that game, and I didn't expect them to win the game, but they were getting like 14.5 or some number like that. I forget exactly what it was. Mm-hmm. So anyway, they lose to Vanderbilt. They go on to have their worst season since Nick Saban's first year in 2007. They ended up 9-4, okay? And that included a bowl win, I think, against, I forget who it was against, some weak team. Maybe it was, I don't remember who it was. But in any event, they go 9-4. That's not exactly the way that you have, what do you call it, that you have a lot to go with on just 1 year with DeBoer, but certainly it wasn't a good start. So now the line is less than half of what they were laying on the road, laying 10.5. And that might, some people look at that as a trap. I think they're going to see a very highly motivated Alabama team to win for the coach that is a popular coach with the players coming in after Saban, especially with Saban's dictatorial style. Although they couldn't really have disliked them all too much, considering all the winning they did for him and what he was able to do for their chances, which were generally successful in making it to the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Okay. So yeah, you like Alabama there.
Yeah.
That's I'll be doing my college picks. Probably post them on Friday at some point. I like doing it a bit later in the week.
Yeah.
Just because more data to look at. But all right, Andy, you think so thanks so much. We had one final question. Happy PR
right.
start. One receiver.
That's one's for you.
Yeah. Debo, MHJ, BTJ, Sutton, ETN. ETN is a rough matchup against the Chiefs, but I would still look at him with Daniels looking to come back. If Daniels plays, I would go Debo out of those receivers, and then
how much have they been using Debo out of the backfield? Not much, I think.
No, not much. Yeah, not much. So
not as much as I thought they might.
Yeah, and with McLaurin banged up, if Daniels plays and McLaurin's out, Debo seems like a really good play. MHJ is just hit or miss. Good matchup though against Tennessee. BTJ, don't trust him. Sutton has the Eagles to deal with, and then ETN. So I think I would go Debo and ETN. Right now, but it's pretty close with ETN and versus MHJ and Sutton. But Debo is the one guy for sure I would go with. So
now who'd you say you would go with if Daniels were not there?
If Daniels wasn't there, then I would go. I'd probably go definitely ETN at that point, and then he needs a receiver, so it would be probably. I just trust Sutton more than MHJ. I just don't trust MHJ. It's I don't know.
Did he start to come out of his funk now?
He did. Yeah, he did. But yeah, it is again.
And he had a lot of support from his teammates.
Yeah. Look, he could go off. He could go off for sure. Yeah. Or Arizona could just be up so much that they're not throwing in the second half. So that's an issue too.
Yeah.
So I would lean ETN Sutton if there's no Jane Daniels this week. So, Gaten, good luck this week, and good luck to everyone with your bets. We'll be back tomorrow with Evan, and then Friday with Tom, discussing more picks. But Andy, do you want to talk about thelogicalapproach.com or your newsletter, which I would urge you guys to subscribe to for sure?
Yeah, you just mentioned the newsletter. In fact, right after we're done, I'm going to send out the copy to you that I had prepared to send out earlier, and then got tied up with some things. But they can take a look at thelogicalapproach.com, see what the newsletter looks like. We post some issues from past season or two up there, and just to get an idea of what the format is each week.
Okay. Yeah, definitely check it out, guys. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit walterfootball.com for tons of content, NFL content every single day. Andy, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Great.
Been a pleasure once again.
Yeah, great week. I was looking forward to this episode. Did not it definitely met expectations. So all right, guys, I hope you have a great night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.